pretty sure you might want to
raised
tell
a lot of eyebrows and concern for 2 weeks.
2 weeks, it's nuts.
her. He's sitting back
Never
there.
heard of that length
I've
of
never
time.
experienced 2 weeks.
No, I've never heard of it.
I've had a week before with hurricanes
Sure,
because of, the plant was, decommissioned.
sure.
And it wasn't, my house in Florida, Hernando County, we were okay. The county seat, their plant went out.
Hmm.
And, it just got struck by lightning, I think. But, it's not a lot, but
We got a closed session with Larry Newton.
National and natural disasters. Can't predict them, just have to deal with them. That's what concerns me about having only one full-service grocery store in Nancy County.
I talked to Mr. Brody about it a couple of times already, and I've got numbers I need to call, probably starting tomorrow, to Ingles,
Right.
and Wiggly,
Okay?
and,
Oh, yeah.
All right, good evening and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Yancey County Board of Commissioners. I want to welcome everyone who's in attendance and also anyone who may be watching on our live stream. We're going to begin our night with our invocation, and so I'm going to ask Pastor Danny Williamson of Elizabeth Missionary Baptist Church to come to the podium.
Let us pray. Oh God, we come to you on this day that you have made, and you told us to rejoice and be glad in it. Father, we come, oh Lord, with burdened hearts sometimes, Father, not understanding things in life. But we come and we asking your spirit to be in this place, Father, that you would give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. We thank you, oh Lord, for just being so merciful and so kind to us, Father. God, you know the crisis that this county was involved with. God, we ask you that you would just bring, oh Lord, Father, to the head, to bring out, Lord, that what needs to be done to fix this problem. We thank you, Lord, not just because I'm a resident of Anson County, but because I'm a child of the King. And I thank you, God, because we're all your children, God. We ask you that you would just fix this problem, God, that you would get the glory and you would get the praise. We're not looking for an scapegoat, God, but we're looking for those, Lord, that who's responsible, God. We ask you that you would just bring, Lord, the correction that needs to be done, Father. We thank you, Lord, right now. We give you praise and we give you glory that you do what you do best, Lord, and that's to bring accountability, and that's just to let the people know that you still love us and you want us to understand who you are and just put our trust in you. In Jesus' name we pray, and everyone said amen.
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 Thank you, Pastor Williamson. All right, at this time, I'll ask Commissioner Gatewood to lead our Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us stand. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. All right, before we approve our agenda, I have one item I would like to rearrange on the agenda. I would like to move item 8E, which is an after-water incident report. I would like to move it and create an item 1A so we can discuss the water incident basically right off the bat. So I'll entertain a motion to move that.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion to create an item 1E on the agenda. We have a second. All in favor of that change, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, with the rest of the agenda, I guess we should have an approval on the rest of the agenda as well.
So moved.
So I'll approve a motion to approve the agenda. Second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Elby, I'm sorry. All right, all in favor of the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, motion passes. All right, let me read our ethics statement before we get too far. So in accordance with the State Government Ethics Act, it is the duty of every board member to avoid both conflicts of interest and appearances of conflict. Does any board member have any known conflict of interest or appearance of conflict with respect to any matter coming before the board tonight? If so, please identify the conflict and refrain from any undue participation in the particular matter involved. So are there any conflicts at this time? All right, hearing none, we will move on. And so at this time, we're going to go into item 1A, which is the, as on your agenda, the after water incident report. We'll do it afterwards. We'll do it on 3. I'll just get started, and obviously it's I want to call it the elephant in the room. We all know that this county has suffered some severe water issues over the past 2 weeks, and so I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Sossman and let him give us a briefing or an update on where we're at, what happened, and what to look forward to.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, it was on or about the 7th day of July, a water line leak was observed out on Highway 74 in the Morven Freight Line
Is your,
Road.
is your mic on?
Okay. Can you now? All right. Thank you, ma'am. So I'll start all over. A water line was observed on or about July 7th out on Highway 74 near Morven Freight Line Road. He was identified as a 24-inch water main, which actually is the main that is the backbone of the county's water system, coming all the way from the filtration plant at the PD River and going across the county. Due to its size, Columbus Utilities was contracted to repair it. The walls, and I know we've got some expert guys here that are wearing brown shirts with orange stripes on them, but the walls of that 24-inch line are about this thick. Is that right, Joe? That thick, about 1 inch thick. Okay, I was exaggerating, 1.5, but they're about 1 inch. And we had to have a backhoe or a crane to lift it. We don't have that equipment that size. So they were brought in. They constructed a bypass around the location of the leak because we thought that would let us get it done within about 12 hours. Unfortunately, while they were working on it and had the bypass in place, the line blew out, which it drained the system. When I say it drained the system, because of our ground storage, wet wells, elevated storage tanks, and the lines themselves, which we got about 850 miles of lines, it actually drained the system of about 12.5 million gallons of water. So that meant no one had water. So bringing back the system was a slow process because of the age of our system. You got lines that are 50, 60, and years old and older. And it's a strain on them, so you couldn't bring it all back at one time. It didn't work. We actually tried it, and it proved not to work. So then after we finished that, the system had to be pressurized. Then when you pressurize the system with the water, you have problems from air pockets that form. If you let the air pockets stay there too long, they'll create an air hammer. They could have caused another line break in a different area. So after that was done, we had to flush the system to get any kind of sediment out. And this whole process, as you know, took days. It's not something you can do overnight. No matter how much we wanted it to happen overnight, it couldn't be done overnight. And so at that point in time, we started doing back-T tests. I was able to call different surrounding counties. As a matter of fact, the people that we came in from Union County, we had numbers of crews almost every day from them. We had some from Richmond County. We had some from Monroe, and then we also had multiple crews from Charlotte Water. And people were amazed, Charlotte Water. I had calls about what's Charlotte Water doing here. Well, actually, when we pulled the back-T test, it was transported back over to their lab. They have a commercial lab, probably the biggest in the Southeast, where they did the bacteria test. And we had to do those 70-some-odd samples for 2 days in a row, same locations, and get negative results. We had a couple of positives, but we were able to work through those and get them into the negative territory. Negative in that sense means good. Positive would have meant we had more contaminants to get rid of. So now we're back to what should be close to normal. Those have been tested. We've had a couple breaks since then, but our utility crews have been Johnny on the spot and have repaired them. Matter of fact, we had one that happened out on 74 across from Peaches and Cream earlier today that they've worked on pretty much all day. But I'll try to add anything. Our Anson County's Assistant County Manager, Mr. Addison, he's here. So we'll try to answer any. I know some of the commissioners were in and out of the EOC, but that was our operations center throughout this fiasco.
Yes, sir. Mr. Addison, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I would just like to say, I want to first recognize the dedicated employees of Anson County who responded to this water emergency. Yes, in fact, if we can we give a standing ovation to our utilities crew? Thank y'all for that support. I know it means a lot to the crews. Honestly, county staff, especially the utilities crews, worked around the clock, and I mean around the clock. We had shifts running for 24 hours a day. So thank you for their support for them. I know it means a lot to them. And the truth is, a lot of their efforts occurred behind the scenes and out of public view. So for you guys to support them like that, it means a lot. So thank you. I also want to take a moment and acknowledge the extraordinary level of support Anson County received through our partners in response to this emergency. What really began as a local utility emergency quickly responded into a regional effort to help Anson County. Between organizations providing personnel, equipment, supplies, advice, it really did become a regional effort. And on behalf of Anson County government, I do want to express our sincere appreciation to those organizations. I am just going to take a moment to recognize each of them. Anson County Chamber of Commerce, Anson County Emergency Management, Anson County Sheriff's Office, Anson County Utilities Department, Ansonville Fire Department, Atrium Health, Burnsville Fire Department, Center Rural Fire Department, Charlotte Water, City of Monroe, Civil Air Patrol, D.A. Griffin Construction, 4A Loader Work, Gulledge Volunteer Fire Department, Hazen and Sawyer, Lysville Fire Department, Lynn Thomas Grading, Morven Fire Department, North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality, North Carolina Department of Transportation, North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, North Carolina Emergency Management, North Carolina Forest Service, North Carolina Warren, Peachland Fire Department, Polkton Fire Department, Red Cross, Richmond County, Rodney T. Morton Trucking, Union County, Town of Ansonville, Town of Lysville, Town of Morven, Town of Peachland, Town of Polkton, Town of Wadesboro, Wadesboro Fire Department, and the support of all the individuals, businesses, organizations, and nonprofits who pitched in any way and contributed to those response efforts. It's truly appreciated, so thank you.
The list that Mr. Addison read out, I'm sure there's someone or some entity that we missed. There are a multitude of people that pitched in and helped in this crisis. I don't care if you delivered a drink to the guys on the side of the road, delivered lunch, brought lunch to the EOC, offered support through whatever means you have necessary. There were multitudes of people that offered support. And I think an incident like this just shows what this community, what Anson County is about, that we will help our neighbor no matter what that looks like. Municipalities crossed over the line, helped in the utility side, the Anson County utility part of it, and vice versa. Our county was helping in the municipalities. And that's what it takes to be a community, is we're supposed to help our neighbor. No matter what the situation is. You know, it would have been very easy for the county to say, well, we're only going to focus on county issues and let the municipalities handle their own. We didn't take that approach. We helped and assisted every municipality because at the end of the day, they're still our neighbor in this county. So I want to commend our utility department as well. I stood right beside them guys. I know they work day and night. It is without a doubt. I don't know how they function because I was struggling to function. So I want to commend them. I want to bring awareness to some people that you may not understand what they did behind the scenes, but they played a very important role in this whole crisis. First and foremost, I want to thank the wives and the families of the utility crews that sacrificed their time, that they didn't see their spouse for a week. There were times that the guys never made it home before they were coming back out. The wives are the ones who bear the burden of that. They've got small kids at home. I know because I do. I've got small kids at home. I didn't see my family for a while. So I know what those guys and those families went through, the sacrifices they made. So I want to thank the wives and families of those staff. And it's not only the utilities, but everybody that was involved that sacrificed their time. I want to say thank you to them. I want to bring attention to, we have an employee here that I have apologized immensely to her because I feel like I put her in a position that she didn't ask to be in, but she helped out immensely. And that's Miss Caroline Hightower of the library. As this incident ramped up and we seen the need for some public information to be pushed out to the citizens, the management of this county sometimes is focused on solving the problem, and sometimes the public information message gets lost. I asked Ms. Caroline to come in and help us with that, sending the message, getting the information out to the public. She could have very easily told me, that's not my job, I'm not hired to do that, I can't do it. She didn't. She stepped up and she said, I'll be there, whatever you need, I'm willing to help. That's the part of the community that I'm talking about. The people said yes, didn't matter what we asked for. So thank you to Miss Caroline. She's not here that I've seen, but she stood up and helped in a big way. The other thing is, I want to thank Mr. Addison for stepping up. He is our assistant county manager, and him and Lynn split the duties kind of government management. But Mr. Addison took on a role that he didn't have to. Utilities is not under his purview. That falls under Lynn. So Mr. Addison could have very easily said, I'll just handle my day-to-day operations, and if you need me, call me. That's not what he did. He stood up to the front of the line and said, where can I help? What do you need? How do we solve the problem? There again, that's what it takes from a community, from a government staff, is everybody pitching in to help, no matter what your job title is. Everybody lends a hand when we're in a crisis like that. So thank you to Mr. Addison for that. Again, we had multiple partners from outside of Anson County here, Union County, City of Monroe, City of Charlotte, Richmond County. All of those entities, it didn't take but one phone call. And one phone call and say, hey, we need some help. We have an issue. We need help. They didn't ask what. They didn't ask how, why, who caused it, nothing. They said, where do you need me? And I'll be there. They showed up. They did their work professionally, I might add, and helped us get through the crisis. So I personally went last night to Union County Board of Commissioners and publicly thanked their staff. They recognized their utility crews, and I intend to do the same thing with Richmond, City of Charlotte, and the City of Monroe, because I feel like we need to express our appreciation to those entities, because they could have very easily said, we've got our own issues and we don't have time to come down there. But they did not. They were here the minute we asked for help. So I want to publicly thank them as well. I know it has been frustrating for the past 2 weeks. I can't express my frustration enough. I know it's been frustrating. We have to find solutions moving forward to how to fix this problem where it does not happen again. I personally do not know what that looks like exactly, but I'm smart enough to know that if I don't know something, I'll call the people who do. And that's exactly what we did in the middle of this crisis. When we could not solve that problem, we called in the engineers who could fix it. So I am a firm believer that with the help of Hazen and Sawyer, that's how we got water restored to all of our citizens. We've been under contract with them for quite some time now, and they, again, didn't hesitate. Once we said we needed help, we had a conference call within an hour, and that afternoon they were on the ground here. So we could not ask for a better partner in Hazen and Sawyer right now. There will be, going forward, there's some after-action reviews that we're going to sit down and study what happened, how we can improve, and how we can prevent things like this from happening in the future. That'll be a comprehensive study that's done of government staff, and so I look forward to having that discussion so we can, like you said, try to prevent this in the future, because we have to do better as a county. We have to do better to provide the water services to our customers who depend on it. And I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that happens. So are there any other questions for the managers on this crisis, or, kind of what's happened?
I'd like to make a suggestion. I've had a lot of people, I'm sure as other commissioners, emailing and calling and very concerned, which rightfully so. But I'd like to make a proposal to this board. We consider creating the Anson County Water and Sewer Planning Board. it's evident that we have some serious challenges ahead of us. And the purpose of this would be to establish a water and sewer planning board that advises the Board of Commissioners on capital planning, grant strategy, and long-term infrastructure priorities for the county's water and sewer systems. Again, thank you to those of you that were out all week putting in that work. But we need some real planning if we're going to make some preventions and if we're going to be prepared for what lies ahead of us. I was not out there with you all week long because I do not share any expertise in water and sewer. I came out one night and stayed after midnight just to put my eyes on what the issues were. But I do commend you for your work and to Columbus Utilities as well. But my proposal is the board, we still retain full decision-making authority as we do, but the planning board's role would be somewhat like our zoning planning board. They see it, they put the work in, and they give us some advice. Reason for this, because our water system is under a significant amount of strain. We've had these recent main breaks that left the county without water for days and triggered this boil water advisory. And as we've heard, the county is losing more than half the water it treats and estimates for a full system rebuild to run into hundreds of millions, or as we've heard it said, billions with a B. State funding efforts on the way, but the county currently lacks dedicated capacity to track, pursue, and coordinate grant and capital opportunities alongside day-to-day operations. So my proposed structure is that this board be advisory only. We have citizens that they're doing a lot of complaining, and they say that they have extended their services and their expertise. I think we should give them a chance, right? If they have a background in it, let's give them that opportunity. We have engineers that live here in the county that know water and sewer. Let's give them opportunity on the planning board. That's a recommendation. And this board would report, submit written recommendations to the Board of Commissioners, whether they meet monthly or, I think our zoning board meets monthly. And then we have someone that could present to us as commissioners at our meetings as needed. And I would ask us as a board to just kind of strongly consider that, because our challenges are before us with our water and our sewer, and we need some real planning and some real thought and some real attention given to this matter for the days ahead. And again, thank you to all of you that worked so hard and so diligent on getting water restored back to all of the citizens of Anson County. I know it wasn't easy, but I'm sure it was sacrificial, and so it is appreciated. So, but I think we should consider looking at getting some people involved so they don't have to complain from a distance. And if they have the expertise and knowledge that could be useful, we give them that opportunity.
Okay. I think that's something we can take in advisement and discuss and see how we structure that. I'm open to that. So,
Could you explain a little more about the state's part? Why they didn't help?
the state did respond. The state, he read off the list: North Carolina Emergency Management, North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality.
Like FEMA, things like that.
Our emergency management was in contact with them. That, in other words, we were in constant contact with them. North Carolina Emergency Management was involved since day one. That's how we would go through the FEMA avenues, is through the North Carolina Emergency Management. So,
And FEMA is normally a natural disaster like a hurricane, tornado, or something, a flood. This wasn't, so they don't look at it the same way. As Commissioner or Chairman just said, Will Ray, who is the director of the North Carolina Emergency Management, was actually here for a whole day. He had several members of his staff here for 3 days. And I was in contact with the governor's office multiple times. As a matter of fact, I had a call yesterday morning from Walter Bowers, who's the governor's direct representative for our district. And unfortunately, there aren't that many grants available anymore. I mean, grants like a gift, you don't pay it back. Now what they're asking us to do is to go through the state revolving fund, which is a loan program. And so our next step is to talk with the local government commission, which is a part of the state treasurer's office, and they tell cities and towns and counties whether you can borrow money or whether you can't borrow money, because they base it on the ability to repay the loan, just like you or anyone else in this audience would go buy a car on time or would go buy a house on time.
I'm not trying to get off the subject. This is on the same subject. Has Anson County not had loans? I mean, not loans, but grants given to them?
We've had multiple ones. As a matter of fact, they have been used. Somebody said that we misplaced or somebody absconded with $6 million. That's an outright lie. Because right now, that $6 million plus $3 million from the county's fund balance is going into repairing and replacing the entire filtration system out at the filtration plant on the PD River. So I'm not sure who this is. I am sure who is doing it, because it's a flat out lie, and I'm saying it right now in front of God and everybody. Also, we got another $4 million that is going toward replacing some of our sewer lift stations.
That are all state appropriated funds that are coming from the state. So, yes, sir. And if you will come to the mic, typically we don't allow public engagement during this portion, but I understand we're in a crisis. I understand. So
I'm not trying to be funny, and because we are in a crisis, I acknowledge that we acknowledge all the people who've done everything. But I'm just going to tell you, you're robbing God. I didn't hear anybody in here say, come on, let's acknowledge God, because if it wasn't for him, none of us would be in position to do what we're doing. And we have to be real. And every crisis in America that we go through, we always say simple words, oh God. But because it happened to us, we stood up and we gave everybody an applause here. But not one time I seen anybody stood up and said, let's give God some praise. And I'm just asking right now. I'm just being real, because I serve a God that is powerful and mighty. I hear what you're saying about budgets and budgets and budgets, but until you get the right people in prayer and ask for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, you don't have anything. My church is built on prayer and accountability. Without consequences, you have no accountability. So we need to give reverence where reverence due. I'm just being real. Because when I lay down all week, when we went through what we went through as a body, it was hard to take a bath without water. It was hard to brush your teeth. It was hard to flush the toilet. Because the crisis happened, we got to give honor where honor's due. Now, we want to leave him out, but yet you can't leave him out because he's the center of the crisis. And I just think we ought to just stand up and give God some praise and ask him for help, for wisdom and knowledge and understanding how we can fix this problem, because I promise you, he can turn around these budgets, he can turn around this situation, and you will find someone that God will put into position to fix the problem without you even lifting a hand. You just got to ask for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. It's old cliche, but guess what? It works.
I appreciate that, Mr. Williamson, and I agree that that's why this letter right up, you can't see it because it's behind this screen, but it says, in God we trust, because that's where our trust is placed, is in God every day. So,
Well, faith without works is dead. You
it's,
got to have works behind it. So let's have faith and believe in God.
all right, any other questions for our managers on this incident? All right.
No questions. I just would like to commend, again, everyone. Chairman Cotter, you were up there a lot. I mean, when people would ask me a question I didn't know, I could text you, call you. You were there. I've worked through hurricanes, snowstorms, all that kind of stuff. My past with EMS, EOC, seen the planning and all that it takes. And I didn't know what to expect coming into the EOC with the water system. Y'all had it planned out. Manager, assistant manager, utilities. I mean, it ran just like a EOC supposed to run, just for water. I mean, I was thoroughly impressed with the people we had working in there. 3 engineers in person, 11 engineers altogether. Y'all got the information together and got it back going. So, appreciate it.
Yes, so there was a lot of hands in helping that, and as Mr. Williams said, the good Lord was providing the resources we needed to get it done, but there were a lot of hands in helping get that fixed. So, all right, no further comment on that. We'll move on to our scheduled agenda. So, at this time, we're going to move to item 2, which is our public legislative hearing. So I'll entertain a motion to enter into public hearing. Have a motion by Commissioner Ellaby, second by Commissioner Little Reed. So we are now into public hearing for ZMA 26-01, zoning and subdivision ordinance text amendments. I'll turn it over to Mr. Addison.
Okay, we're gonna shift gears pretty heavily here, but it is text amendments for the zoning and subdivision ordinance. As the chairman identified, it is identified as TA 26-01. So, the bulk of these text amendments are either to correct Scrivener's errors from when the ordinance was originally drafted and adopted several years ago, to bring it in alignment with recent statutory changes, as well as rephrasing some things to make it more discernible for members of the public, applicants, the planning board, and the commissioners themselves. So we'll go through all these, but just as you're looking along, if it's indicated in red, it's new text. If it's in black, it's either the original text or just a slight rephrasing of it to help move it along. So the first major one, this has been requested by the planning board several times. They'd like to establish a two alternate members to the planning board. And most other jurisdictions do have this, and there's cases where, you know, somebody has to call out sick or has a funeral to attend to or a wedding, and they can't be there. And by state law, there's certain actions we take, or the planning board takes, that they have to have 4/5 majority there. And if you're absent, it still counts against the quorum. So having the ability to call on an alternate member is really tremendously helpful. It helps move business along and applications along. We've had a few cases where, you know, the applicant showed up, we didn't have the quorum needed to take an action, so we have to send them back home and bring them back a month later. And it does slow down the process. The other requested item was to establish a removal process for planning board members. Again, this is just something that pretty much all jurisdictions have. It was just something that wasn't included ours by the drafters of the ordinance. So it does establish a removal process, basically established on attendance. So moving forward, the next one is the removal of the refiling period for withdrawn or denied applications. A while back, there was a statutory change that says local governments cannot implement a refiling period. So all this does is remove that section of the ordinance and says that, you know, you can reapply whenever you would like. But essentially, it's just bringing us in alignment with some recent statutory changes. The next section is concerning downzoning. Again, a few months back, the state legislature made some pretty drastic changes in how it defines and implements quote-unquote downzoning. So went through the ordinance, made some revisions, but the biggest revision is item C. It basically says the downzoning as now can be qualified as a downzoning if it creates a nonconformity in non-residential districts. But again, this is just to bring us in alignment with recent statutory changes. So nothing outside of that regarding downzoning. So every special use permit and a variance are quasi judicial actions, and they require findings of fact to be met before it can be approved or denied. Our ordinance has those. The way they were written and phrased and itemized generally made it confusing for the applicants, the general members of the public. And so what we did was we looked at some surrounding municipalities and counties and basically just kind of restructured ours to make it easier for the applicant to understand what criteria they're going to have to meet in order to get a variance. And so there's 5 different ones. I think we've broken it down into bite-sized chunks to really help applicants understand the criteria that they're having to meet. And the added benefit is it helps the planning board understand it. It's really broken it down. But nothing that is outside the statute. This is all in alignment with the statutory language. So the next one is the table of permitted uses. So the way our ordinance is structured, the text governs over any table, chart, or figure. And so as I was going through and trying to correct any Scrivener's errors, I noticed there were cases where the text said one thing, but the table of permitted uses said another. So technically this isn't making a change, but people may notice it, the table updates. Again, since the text always govern, we're not making any change. I just wanted to bring it to your attention in case any constituents asked why we were adding or removing things to the table. We're not adding or removing anything. It's always there. Just the original drafters typed it wrong into the box. That's all. We've added a section that basically says any special use permits must require with any other requirements and permits. So that could be things maybe they need a DOT permit or a permit from DEQ, or maybe they need a wetlands permit from the Army Corps of Engineers. Basically, we're further codifying what's already required of them. We're just establishing it as in our county ordinance that they're still required to get those. All right, the next section is regarding building permits. So again, red is new, black is old. So as with most permits as set by state law, they have vested rights. So everything we've added here in red is already established in state law somewhere in the statutes. What this does is it just puts it in our county ordinances to codify it a little more, but it also gives us a quick reference to figure out what it is without having to go through books and books of state laws. So it just helps county staff out, especially our building inspections department, when they need a quick reference. But again, it's in alignment with state statute and doesn't go against any of that. Okay, the next one is Class A special use permit and extending the vested rights on those via a special use permit condition. So if you'll recall, Class A special use permits are things that come to the commissioners for approval. It'll go through the planning department first, the planning board for a vote of recommendation or denial, and then it comes to the commissioners for final approval or denial. And so generally your Class A permits are things that are more intensive, things that you definitely want to have more scrutiny on. Kind of creates a catch-22 though, because some of these really large projects take a long time to get state and federal permits. And so our original language, which is still there in black, it says they have a vested right of 2 years. But there are certain projects that it's going to take them 2 to 3 years to get their state and federal permits, at which point the local permit would have already lapsed. So now they're caught in a catch-22. Adding subsection A allows the commissioners at their pleasure to extend their vested rights for up to a period of 5 years, which is the state maximum. But it does give you that flexibility in case we have a major employer or industry want to locate here and they're up front and say, hey, it's going to take us 2-3 years to get all of our permits. Can you work with us? This provides you that flexibility, whereas before you didn't have it. Well, and then, as I said at the onset, there's several other Scrivener's errors we fixed throughout the document. These are either grammatical errors, punctuations, Maybe something was improperly formatted, but they didn't have any material impact on the document itself. It was just fixing minor errors. So, given that the all of these amendments are focused on correcting either Scrivener's errors or bringing us in alignment with recent statutory changes, it is my recommendation that this would be considered for approval. The planning board met on July 16th and voted 7-0 in favor of recommending the text amendments for approval to the Board of Commissioners. So at this time, does the Board of Commissioners have any questions for the planning department?
Included in this, you said the members, right? The additional board members.
Yes,
That way
this would
we can have a
establish
quorum.
2 additional alternate members. They would have the
Right.
same powers
Okay.
when they're in the seat, yes.
But at no time, there'll be 9 members of the planning board
Right.
That's
making a
correct.
decision.
Correct.
How does that affect the quorum? Does quorum still stay at or I mean, the total number stay at 7?
The biggest issue is the variance. A variance requires a 4/5 majority, which for our planning board of 7 members requires 6 members. So if you have only 6 members present, that means whoever is applying for the variance needs a 6-0 vote in favor for it to be granted. But if you had 6 members and Sally Sue had to recuse herself because she worked with the applicant, it's dead on arrival.
Yeah.
You can't even hear it.
But adding the 2 alternates does not affect that
That's
percentage.
correct. That's correct.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Still stays at the statutory 4/5.
got you.
Just replace one that's not able to come.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay. I have no further questions on any of them.
Can you entertain a motion?
We just need
gotta-
to open it
yeah,
up
we
for
gotta open
public
it to the
comments.
public, and then we'll make a motion to come out and vote on it. So, all right, at this time, is there anyone from the public that has comments on the zoning or subdivision ordinance amendments? Yes, sir.
All right, so with the alternates, will you delineate who is senior over the other? Because you don't want 9 people showing up for that 7-member board, or it's something that's set already.
We would just probably call whoever's the closest first, and then the farthest second.
I'm worried about 8 people showing up.
I wouldn't call them. So I'm in constant communication with the planning board, so they give me advance notice if they know they won't be in attendance.
Do have
Do-
one. How would these 2 be selected?
But just fixing that.
By the Board of Commissioners. Now, the planning department or the planning board can provide recommendations if you need help selecting or sourcing someone to fill that role, but they would be filled in the same manner as the regular members.
Okay. Any other questions from the public? All right. Yes, sir. If you can, come to the mic, please.
I was just wondering if you have had any problems meeting the quorum on any of these permitting processes, and is these proposed changes how and or if they will affect the cost of permits and the cost of the county? Is that going to change any? Yeah, I figured I pay enough taxes now, and I don't want to take a chance on going any higher.
So yes, there have been several cases since we've had countywide zoning where we've had to turn an applicant away because of issues with quorums. So this is why we've added this process. We don't want to turn applicants away on the night of a meeting and make them come back a month later. It's unfair to the applicant. So yes, that has been an issue. And these changes do not increase the cost in any way whatsoever. And in fact, every year I go through our cost structure to make sure we're not out of alignment with other jurisdictions of our size or the surrounding counties. So, yes, we have some of the cheapest permits in the region.
Any other questions from the public? Yes, ma'am. If you'll come to the mic, please. Good evening.
Good evening.
Would the alternate board members, would they be required to attend other meetings so that if there is a question about a zoning permit, that they are able to give relevant decision-making to the project at hand. So how would they be kept abreast as an alternate?
So as an alternate, they would still receive all the agenda packets and materials, but they would be made aware beforehand that their attendance is not needed at that time.
That they would have the information.
That's correct. We don't want them to come in blind.
And I just want to clarify, Mr. Addison, they are able to attend the meetings as
Yes.
in the public.
Mhm.
They would just not have a voting right unless they were called upon.
That's correct. These are
Yeah.
public hearings, so
Yeah.
in public meetings, anyone is welcome to show up.
Yep. So, okay. Any other questions?
Make a motion, we come out of the public legislative hearings.
Second.
On board, we didn't do a motion to open it, so I don't think we need to do anything right along that line that I know of, unless I missed it.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did we did a
Mr.
motion.
Ellerby made a motion,
Yes,
Commissioner
sir.
Little Reed seconded. So, all right, so we have a motion to come out of public hearing by Commissioner Ellerby, second by
Second.
Mr. Gatewood. So all in favor, say aye. All right. Now we are back in general session here.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the zoning and subdivision ordinance text amendments as presented.
All right. So we have a motion by Commissioner Ellerby to approve the zoning text amendments as presented tonight. I have a second by Commissioner Woodburn. Any other discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. All right.
Thank
Motion
you.
passes. Thank you. Okay, moving on down, so now we will get to our consent agenda. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve our consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Ellerby, second by Commissioner Gatewood. Is there any discussion on any of the items listed below? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Thank you. All right. Coming down to number 4, under appearances, we have Mr. Larry Newton, our tax administrator.
I'm here tonight to speak to you concerning my fiscal 26, 27-year budget. I know it was a tough budget to put together. I attended some of the meetings and some of the meetings back in June, those last few, that y'all were doing the final adjusting on it. In attending those meetings, I was asked if I would delay the funding of one of my approved positions in the tax office. And I agreed to delay the funding of that position in order to help the budget process move forward. That particular position was approved or recommended by the NCACC 3 years ago. And for 3 years now, it's been approved but never funded. And so we need that position, but I am not coming to you here tonight asking you to fund it. But I am going to ask you for some help in another area. We have a lot going on in the tax office, as you know, as commissioners. We're finalizing the revaluation. We're close. We're not there. We've changed softwares. We still getting orientated on the functioning of that software and adjusting it. In other words, for the reappraisal process, which has been going on since March of '24. But as we move along with this and as we see what is taking place now, especially at the state level, we are completing revaluation. We are in the appeal process. And if you know what SB 889 is and SB 474 is, you know that, in other words, all the work that we've done in revaluation for 26 has been pushed to 27. But that in no way stops us from completing the process of cleaning up the 26 reval, even though we're gonna have to hold it, in other words, till the following year. With SB 889 and SB 474, we're mandated to go back and use the 2018 schedule of values instead of the schedule of values that you approved back in November of 25. So we're in the process of not only completing the revaluation of 2027, we're having to retro back now and adjust 2026 so that it will bill appropriately, in other words, based on that 2018 schedule. So we made a lot of changes in 2027 to reval. We created new valuing structures within the system. We changed neighborhoods in the county. We adjusted CDUs, condition, desirability, utility. The system prices not off actual age, but effective age. So we've changed all those effective ages for 2027 reval, but we got to go back now and put it back like it was. I've been talking with the state, I've been talking with the School of Government, and it was initially thought we could just apply the 2018 schedule to what we did in reval. But we've been told we can't do that. We got to back out all those changes that would have changed that value so it's not billing like it did then. So that's going to be a process that we can do that in a lot of the areas, like with a quorum, and dump it into the 2026. But some of it's going to have to be done manually. We're not going to be able to do it. We just made so many changes. We've done property transfers, splits, which won't change a great deal, but there'll be some adjustments made there. All the depreciation schedules were changed, how your property is depreciating. We used to depreciate it on a 4-year scale. Now we depreciate the properties every year. So it's more accurately and it's more fair to the taxpayer, in other words, for them to get the advantage of that depreciation. But anyhow, I'm not here to ask you to fund that position that I need that has been vacant like that for so long. But I am asking you for some help and some part-time help, which I have always had. And so my request tonight, in my 26, 27 budget, my part-time help was reduced just due to the restraints on the budget, as tight as it was. But then in and above that, my tax office budget was cut for part-time, and my collections was cut completely out, and DMV was cut completely out. So all I ended up with was a limited amount of money in the tax office, which I had always had in the past, but it got eliminated through the budget process, which I didn't pick up initially. In other words, that we had delayed the funding of that, but yet then we also took away that also. But I need that part-time help, in other words, to get us where we need to be. And one of my major concerns about the Senate Bill 889 is that we have got to get property tax bills out. And you
can hold mine if you want to.
We got to get the property tax bills out. And finance will tell you that, I mean, when the property tax bills go out, within 30 to 45 days, a mass majority of the people will pay that bill. So that's an influx of revenue to the county. Now, if you run in the schedule that you generally run through the tax office, the bills go out the 1st of August, they're due September 1, no interest till January the 6th. So if we can get the tax bills out, then we can get the revenue stream going, at least, in other words, for the 26 billing. I don't see that happening as quick as I'd like to see it happen. And I certainly don't see it happening if I don't have the staff to do it. So I'm not asking for the funding for that, but if you, and what I am asking for, I'll tell you exactly what I'm asking for. I'm asking for, and it's less than what I had in years past. I'm asking for 10,000 in the tax office, 10,000 in the collections office, and 10,000 in DMV. That's $30,000. That's less than you can hire a full-time person. And I can then work my part-time people in any of the 3 areas of the office I want to, or where it's needed. So I'm asking you to refund or to fund my part-time help to that level, at least, to help us get the property tax bills out, to get the collections running like it, can continue to run like it should, and to be able to meet some of these deadlines, in other words, that we're having. Another problem, I don't call this a problem, but I ran out of Paylocity. The number of employees, just in my 3 departments, that requested time off in a 30-day period. I had 26 requests in 30 days for people to take time off. That was sick leave, that was FMLA, that was vacation, that was comp time. And I had to fill those slots, in other words, every time some of those people were out. And my part-time help can do that. In other words, if I have it to lean on. But that's unbelievable. That is 26 different requests to be off. So all I'm asking you for is some help on that. I feel like, in other words, that we'll get these tax bills out relatively, at least shortly. I'm not sure we'll get them out for August 1st. And remember this, with Senate Bill 474, well, 889, in other words, when they shifted it forward, appeals are gonna go on until the end of December. And actually, if you read 474, you'll find out they're even gonna allow appeals on into 2027. And so we're gonna be constantly adjusting, in other words, if there's a change in value for the next 12 to, I hope not 18 months, but for at least 6 to 12 months. So I'm just asking you, if I can get the help, get the funding put back in my part-time, not asking you to do the full-time, but if I can get that help, and I don't have to tell you that the tax office is one of your main revenue streams. And whatever it takes is what we need to do. So I'm asking if you can help me with what I'm requesting. I think, in other words, it will make the process much smoother.
One question I have, so you got 3 departments. Is assessing the only department that has part-time funding now?
That's all that survived the new budget.
Okay, that's,
Yes, sir.
I wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I had asked for 15, I got 10, they wiped the other 2 out.
Okay.
And you say, well, how does DMV, fill into that? Well, I've got 2 people, I've got 1 person trained as a part-time in DMV. We're gonna cross-train out of collections, but when I pull somebody else out of another department, it creates a vacancy there.
Yeah.
So in a 30-day period, you had 26 requests for time off.
There it is, that's in Paylocity.
And that's roughly about 8 days of that time is already off. So technically, I mean, Saturday and Sunday. So every working day of that month.
I mean, it's a chore to keep them staffed, in other words, and to provide the customer service that we need to provide.
So you need $30,000.
I need $30,000, and it's not the answer or the cure, but
It's
it
the help.
certainly will help.
And this is gonna have an impact on the tax bills going
It's
out,
gonna have an impact on these tax bills going out,
which has an impact on us,
revenue.
not just revenue, but recovering.
Okay.
Let's talk about recovery. I think this is a good time to be reminded of that. Because we have to recover what we've already purported from our fund balance. And it's a potential that we may not recover in an adequate amount of time what we've already assigned. So we're basically at a point where we gotta do it.
If you have 10 already in assessing, why do you need 10 more?
I don't need 10, I only need 10 for tax assessing, 10 for DMV, and 10 for collections.
But I
Three
thought,
departments, 10 for each.
So you only need 20.
I thought you said you already had 10 for assessing.
That's what survived my budget. In other words, well, I do have that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
That's where you didn't get any cuts.
Yeah. So 20 is what I'm hearing.
I'm
You
good-
need 10
I'm
in the
good
other
with
two
that.
departments.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so 20 instead
Yeah,
of 30.
yeah.
I know he said 10 in 3 different
I,
departments.
that's why I wanted to clarify. So, and I'm not trying to speak for you. I'm just trying to understand the math here.
I'm all right.
So you need 10 for 2 different departments, so 20.
I need 20, I'll have 30, cause it survived the 26 budget.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
You're asking for 10,000 collections and 10,000 in the DMV.
That's right.
But with the 10,000 and then,
In the form of a motion to give the additional $20,000.
I like, we got it. We got $20,000? Do we have it?
I hear your motion, Mr. Woodburn. Mr. Woodburn has made a motion to approve the 20,000 for the 2 extra departments.
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Ellerby. Yeah, one question I just want to pose to the board is, do we want to discuss this with our finance officer before we approve it? Or do we feel comfortable?
Let me,
Well, I was asking,
restate my motion that to have the county manager get with the finance director since she's not here and make sure that we can, I'm pretty sure we can do, we don't have any choice. If we don't get tax dollars in.
yeah.
I understand if you can't send the bill out, you're not going to collect any money, so.
So my question,
I mean, yeah, well, I mean, these bills got to go out.
so my question to the county manager, do you think this is something we can afford to do?
Well, and I'd like to add to what Mr. Newton had to say. I mean, he said a 30-day period. You got to remember how many work days are in that 30-day period.
Right.
And of course, actually, there were more requests than for days that we able to work. I know what it is.
You know what it is?
I know what it is. But that's also going to be, that's very indicative because contrary to poverty relief, Anson County has a lot of folks that have worked here for a number of years. So as Mr. Newton can attest, they build up leave time, vacation time, whatever. So I understand it because I face the same thing whenever I reach out for a department head and they're not available because they're on vacation or whatever. But if you ask me to question that, do we have $30,000 or $20,000, I guess it's the revised number, yes, we do.
Well, I'll make that motion
So I
that we
I
approve.
wouldn't say not do it because he was very kind when he says it's one of the largest. It is the largest
is.
revenue
Largest
producing
revenue,
because
yeah.
It's a tier 1 county. There is no other way to raise revenue in a tier 1 county outside of tax revenue. So just quite frankly, this is our number 1 source of income. That's just for some of us that don't know that. That is the number 1 source of income. So I make the motion that we approve it, the request for $20,000.
Mr. Chairman, we already have a motion.
Did it? Yeah, he rescinded it.
I'll withdraw my motion, let Commissioner,
All right, thank you.
All right.
Thought he already
So,
did, I'm sorry.
Mr. Woodburn has withdrawn his motion. Mr. Ellerby has made a motion to approve the 20,000 for the 2 departments. Is there a second? Second. We have a second by Commissioner Woodburn. Is there any other discussion from the board on that?
How much was allocated last budget year for these, for collections and for DMV?
I spent 16,000 in tax office and assessments. I don't have the figure for DMV and collections. But I know I spent 16,600 something in tax office.
Just in assessing? Just in the assessing
Yeah,
department?
just in the assessment department. I wasn't asking, but I'm asking for the 10.
No, sure.
So are you planning on hiring somebody for DMV and collections for that part-time money?
I've got somebody that can work part-time. In other words, I've got staff trained that can work in those departments already.
You just didn't have the funding.
Ma'am.
No, they're part-time.
So back, my question is, you have the people, you just didn't have the funding.
That's right. I've got the people. I just need the funding.
Okay.
No mind.
All right, can we,
No, wait, this is not a time for public comment. We're having a discussion with the tax assessor, so,
I'll ask the rest of my questions in public, in, closed session.
okay. So,
I need to understand the plan.
okay. Any other discussion from the board on the two positions, the 20,000 part-time for the two positions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes, so, thank you, Mr. Newton. Okay, so at this time, we're going to move down to our public addresses to the board. There shall be a time set aside at each regular meeting of the board for public comment. Each citizen who wishes to speak during this time must sign up on a sign-up sheet prior to the start of the meeting. Each citizen shall be allowed 3 minutes for their presentation. All citizens are expected to follow proper decorum and shall not use profanity nor defamatory speech. The public is expected to remain seated except when leaving the room. Only presenters listed on the agenda or recognized by the chairman will be called to the podium to address the board. Commissioners are expected not to comment on matters brought to the board during this time, but to delay action or comment until staff has had an opportunity to research the subject matter and to report necessary and relevant information to all members of the board. So this time, I'm going to call Ann Huntley. And I'll just ask if you will, make sure you speak into the microphone, please.
I will.
Thank you.
I'm coming before you tonight, and I'm coming before all of you. There is one question that has really concerned me, and I went before City Council in 2012, and I asked the same question I'm going to ask tonight. Why have we not got any water, or why is our water brown? I've been asking this. I've been to the county attorney before in the past. He can vouch for that. And I can understand because I'm not young like I used to be, and I taught in the school system for many years, and I've lived here all of my life. So I understand things get old. There is one thing that I learned through all of my years and all of my principals, and I've taught at every one of the schools except one in this county. I've taught outside of this county. And at the beginning of the year, we would always go into this wonderful opening year convocation. One year, several years in a row, I had several principals. Why are you in this profession? If you don't want to be in this profession, get out now. Because the children deserved teachers, administrators, librarians, and I was a teacher and I was a librarian that cared. And yes, we've all heard about the political games through small counties, and this is no exception. And I may be wrong, and I may make some people mad saying that. But during this water crisis, there is one thing that I want to ask. Where was fidelity shown? If you can't do it with fidelity, then don't do it at all. And one department head who was over the emergency services, our fire chief, made a public comment on his social media. Yes.
Respect your right to speak. Please don't attack any employees, please.
Okay, thank you. So I do not have the right to ask why that person put on his.
You can ask about an event, but not the person.
Okay, well, why was that? I don't even know how to word it now. Then, Mr. Forbes. I understand. But I am going to say, during this recent crisis, this person made a comment on social media. If you can't be an adult, you need to grow up or move out. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Huntley. Next up, we have Mr. Danny Pope.
Thank you all. This is my first county commission meeting, so if I mess up the proper decorum in addressing you all, please accept my apology as done out of ignorance and not malice. I'm a simple man. And I'm concerned about the water in Anson County. I look at this big valve sitting here with a hole blown out the bottom of it, and that doesn't bother me a bit. Everything man-made is gonna wear out or tear up. Mr. Williamson I agree with him a whole lot about what he said about we need wisdom, we need discernment, and we need accountability. And maybe I don't know enough of the facts to address this point of accountability, but it just seems to me like there's no accountability in the water problems going on in this county. Again, just like this valve blew out, that big line it bust, it was inconvenient and it was not pleasant, but I don't have a bit of problem with that. Stuff tears up. What bothers me is a couple weeks ago on one of the Charlotte news stations, there was Mr. Holly was on there with videos showing water gushing up out of the ground, running down the side ditch and running in the creek. I saw my daughter showed it. I don't do computers, so my daughter showed me another video on the phone. Mr. Poplin had another video of water gushing out the top of a big cement culvert. Both of these cases, the water had been running so long, it was no longer muddy. Now I've been in the ditch where these guys were here the other day working on up to 6-inch lines, PVC and stainless steel. You better not bother these guys right here, because I promise you, nobody in this room wants to be down in that ditch. If there's any cuss words in your vocabulary, they will come out down in that hole. The problem I have about accountability is the people, whoever they are, would allow the county water system to get in the shape it's in, where Mr. Holly and Mr. Poplin are able to find leaks. Been gushing so long, the water is no longer muddy, yet Mr. Poplin and Mr. Holly can find it, and it seems like our water department is unable to find those leaks and fix them. we get into accountability here.
That's your 3 minutes, Mr. Pope.
That's for 3 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Management needs to be fired.
Thank you for your comments. Oh, please get it. All right, up next, thank you, Mr. Pope. I don't think I told you, but up next we have Mr. Charles Holly.
I want a clarification real quick from the county attorney. Are you saying we can't use names? Can we use titles?
Bad-mouthing an employee is not something that's allowed. If you want to talk about an action that was done, that'd be fine.
All right, so I'll try to keep it as cordial as possible. If I get a line, check me. All right, good to see you all.
Good evening.
The county manager made a statement earlier about some hoopla, some lies that were going around about $6 million, and he's right to check that because that, at least to my understanding, is not an embezzlement. So he was verifying truth, and I think that if the county starts with the truth of a lot of things, they wouldn't be in this situation. I'm not here to chastise any of y'all. I'm just here to remind you, it's not just the water department. And the emergency is not over. I mean, the boil advisory is over, but the emergency is not over. And you're still going to have Anson County schools coming up here every year for asking for millions of dollars that y'all don't have. They don't have it. Among that, our water system is about put. And we don't have $1 billion. So I'm kind of akin to the rest of these people. We don't care who's responsible necessarily. We want y'all to start doing something. So to the effect of your planning board committee thing, that's a great idea. But you're going to need one for a lot of things. You're going to need one for the schools, from the county to work together on that because they're going to be coming and asking for money. They got issues. It goes on and on and on. DSS, I mean, you got the #1 director in the state in one of the worst buildings that's been known for issues. So I think that we are in a real dire time right now. So I'm not here to chastise y'all. I just want to remind you, it's not just the water department. It's everything. So that's it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Holly. Next up, I think it's Sheila Chambers.
Hello, everyone. What I want to talk about was the meeting I went to this morning on Morgan Road, where they wanted to question the signatures that Tim Adams had. Kevin Adams, I'm sorry. Anyway, bottom line is, she's not a handwriting expert. So what gives her the right to want to come in? And plus the time period is over with. You know, Friday, some deadline, the time period is over with. So why would you want to try to say some of these signatures ain't right? I take offense because I worked up at the polls. And we asked people, would you like to sign this, petition here so he could run? And they signed it. Not only me, every candidate that had from in here was up there asking for signatures because he didn't get his paperwork in time. So my question is to you, why what gives her the authority to do that? And she's not a handwriting expert. Oh, they can't respond.
That's a North Carolina State Board of Elections question.
Mm-hmm.
We have no control over that.
Mm-hmm.
I have spoken with Mr. Adams. I hope you don't mind me telling you. And we have, I've directed him to some people to call and things of that nature. But you're right. I think it was a request from someone, and that was not for the county to decide.
Okay.
It's for the State Board of Elections.
I want to talk. I want everybody who want there to know about what's going on in the county, and that's all I got to say. And I'll speak up again when something ain't right. I love everybody.
Thank you, Ms. Chambers. All right. Up next, I believe it's Evelyn Covington, maybe? Is that right? Yes, ma'am. You may give your 2 minutes to Mr. Adams. Yes, sir, you are. I'm sorry.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your time. I want to start by saying good evening to our chairman, our commissioners, members of the public, and I want to start by saying thank you to our utility workers. You all did an excellent job working very hard, and so we thank you. Thank you very much for keeping us informed and dealing with this crisis. But as Ms. Sheila mentioned, I want to talk to you about another crisis that may be State Board of Elections, but this is going to be a county crisis. And that is what is currently going on at the Board of Elections in Anson County. What is currently going on by the chairman of the chairperson there, and what is going on with not having full staffing and with not knowing the laws and not knowing what's going on. And so I've prepared some words here. I'm going to stick to my notes, which I believe I can do. Again, I'm Kevin Adams. I'm a candidate for Anson County Commissioner. I started this process as an independent. I am running currently as an independent, but I am running with the support of the Democratic Party. I had to get write-ins for my, I had to get signatures to get on the ballot. Those signatures were collected. They were approved. I was notified by someone outside of the director of elections or the chairman of the elections that an attempt was made by phone call to try to challenge my signatures today, 2 days before the election. So if this is going to be the way in which we're going to conduct transparency in elections, this is going to be another crisis that we can prevent. Many of the workers that work the polls are not planning on working this year. Ms. Helms was very helpful. She attempted to answer all my questions. She actually, while I was there, printed the paperwork for my signatures, the information I requested. However, Ms. Helms has the director of elections does not have training, does not have background, has no support there at that building. That is a county building. This will be in November a county election. Names of people that are in this room will appear on this ballot. And there are attempts to subvert election law and to do things by phone call, not through official. The request for my challenges of signatures came by phone call, not through affidavit, not through Board of Elections paperwork. It came through a phone call that was then emailed to the board. So I am here today to ask you to do two things. First, this county's commissioners need to authorize a letter to the Board of Elections to find out why they have not sent support to a new director who has no training, who, despite the fact that she was very kind, very helpful, very professional, had to keep saying, I have to call someone about this. In a building that big by herself, with no assistant or no one there to support her. I asked this board to request the on-site assistance from the State Board of Elections. They are missing in action on this particular issue. And this will be, if we don't want to be on the news for another crisis, this is a crisis in the making that we can see coming at us. Second, this issue should be on the agenda for us to ask. It's our money, it's our county, to ask the Board of Elections chairperson and director to come and answer questions about their ability to conduct this election with the proper people and the proper resources. If that is not a concern of the county commissioners and the citizens here, I do not know what a county issue could possibly be. I had to go there myself from an email that was forwarded to me to ask if they were trying to remove my name from the ballot 3 days before contested elections. That's democracy. Every candidate that's on that ballot should make sure, number one, we already seen the emails that they've already tried to cut our early voting. There has been communication with the chairperson, the director, and political appointees on the Republican State Board. And so my question is, there are 3 write-ins. Only one of us is a Democrat. And that should be a concern to the commissioners. I appreciate your time. Thank you for listening to me. And this is going to be a concern of our entire county if we don't get in front of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. I do have a couple notes that I made of your request. So, all right, up next, I believe Angela, is it Hardison?
Good evening.
Good
Good evening.
And will also say, like Mr. Pope, this is my first time at a meeting, so forgive me if I am not in proper decorum as well. But I do have something that I wanted to read, so I'll be brief. So speaking of crisis, that's the theme of the night. So I'm here to shed light on another crisis in Anson County. So first of all, I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. So my name is Angela Hardison, and I'm here before you this evening to introduce myself and my home care agency, Mother Hardison's Home Care, LLC. And I prepared a packet for you, an introduction packet. So I was born and raised here in Anson County, and I graduated from the public school system in the best class ever, the greatest class, 1988. Some of my classmates are here. I was a school teacher for 9 years, and 5 of those years were right here in the county at Morven Elementary from 1997 to 2002. 3 years in Union County and 1 year out of state in Bowie, Maryland. In 2024, after living in Mecklenburg County for a number of years, I moved back home to Anson County, in part to help care for my elderly mother who was having some health challenges. So all of my siblings, we all helped to take care of my mom. However, I was tasked with the medical portion. And so just making sure that I knew all of her doctors, making sure her appointments were made and scheduled and taking her there as needed, making sure that her medications were up to date and that she was only taking what was necessary. So during this time, a couple of things happened that were difficult. So there came a time when we wanted more help in caring for my mom. So we had already at that point, me and my siblings, we had started taking turns spending the night with her. Even though we all had jobs, we all had families, you know, our mom is who raised us, and we wanted to make sure that we were there for her. But we wanted somebody there with her during the day. And so just to kind of do some like cooking, cleaning, and helping with any kind of everyday needs that she would need, bathing, dressing, or anything like that. So one of the obstacles that I came across was just, for one, navigating the process of applying for CAP-DA, which is Community Alternatives Program for Disabled Adults. And I'm not here to talk about that part tonight. That's another day. But the second issue, and why I'm here before this board, is just finding reliable, dependable caretakers for her. So that was a real struggle. At first, I used my friend network, and I found someone who was recommended, and she worked out well. Sadly, she became ill herself and passed. And so I did turn to a local home care agency and to get a replacement for her. And that worked out well, too. But even with that, you know, there was a couple of times that we had, is that my time up?
It is, yes, ma'am. But if you need to finish up, you can. wrap
Okay,
it up.
I'm getting to the end.
Okay.
So because of this trial, I realized how incredibly hard that it must be for seniors in our county who don't have family nearby or family at all to help or advocate for them in getting services. So I do believe that a senior citizen's quality of life should not depend on their zip code or their income or the lack thereof. And this is why I started my agency, to turn my family's personal struggle into a safety net for the elderly and those in need in Anson County. So the problem and the solution, because I do believe if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem, and I want to be part of the solution. So right now, another statistics that I know this board is painfully aware of and acutely aware of is the compounding crisis in Anson County. So just going to highlight just a couple of figures. 1 in 5 of our residents is over the age of 65, and many of them live completely alone. Because we are a rural, lower-income county, our local caregivers often leave for higher-paying jobs in places like Charlotte, Monroe, Stanley County, Montgomery County. And that leaves our seniors isolated, and many end up in the emergency room for things that could have been prevented at home. Mother Hardison's Home Care fixes this by hiring local aides and assistants. Under the direct supervision of a registered nurse, our team goes out into homes to help with daily meals, housekeeping, and basic checks so that they can age with dignity. So the last point, not asking the county for any money, not a dime. I currently work for the State Department of Health and Human Services, and I built this business so far out of my own pocket. And so I paid for 100% of our startup, legal costs, and everything to get approved, which I am a now approved licensed. I've included my projected annual budget, and that's a conservative estimate, but that's to get us kind of going. So my goal and the conclusion, I won't gonna say that there is some money that has already been distributed to the state, $213 million. I'm sure you all know this. Via Health, I'm sure you know this, was granted the persons that's gonna be distributed. But at some point, the approval is gonna come before this board. And so I want Mother Hardison's to be on your mind to help be a solution for a crisis, another crisis in Anson County. Thank you for your time. I thank you for your leadership, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Who'd you say, Via Health?
Via, V-A-Y-A. And it's in there in the packet.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry, there is addendum at the back of that packet that came from the governor about another cut in HUB, which is a historically underfunded business. So that's going to be another deterrent and another challenge for a small business in a rural county. And also they dismantled the health and minority office as well. So again, another challenge. And so when that money does come forward, again, I would like some of that money.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Hardison, for that. Thank you for the packet. All right. That concludes our public addresses to the board for this evening. So this time we're going to move on to our manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is that working now?
Do what now?
Can you hear that now?
I think so.
Okay. First thing is the employees of the quarter. We had three that were, had multiple nominations, but the three that were chosen was Colin Hatem from EMS, Yvonne Burr from the Health Department, and also Tafoya Haley, who is a part of our tax department. So that's that one. And this is something we do. I don't know if that thing's working.
Yeah, I can hear you, but they may not can.
No.
So if you can speak into the
Okay.
mic.
Mr. Adams says he can hear me,
Okay.
so good.
So,
The next item.
One item before we move on,
Okay.
and this may not be appropriate, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think, and I'm willing to make the motion right now, that we award every utility department staff member in the field the same recognition as employees of the quarter for their work and what they've done the past 2 weeks.
I would second that, but I can't.
Well, so I don't know if we're able to do that, but I think we should, but to show our appreciation to the field guys.
I'll
of
second your
utility
motion.
crew. So I'll make that motion if you'll second it.
I second it because I was thinking the same thing, so thank you.
All right. So we have a motion on the floor to basically award all of the field staff of the utility department the same recognition and benefits as the employees of the quarter. We have a second by Commissioner Woodburn. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. So utility staff, again, I want to say thank you. I cannot say thank you enough because I know what you guys did for the past 2 weeks, so thank you. And our citizens know it as well. You've heard it tonight, so thank you.
Oh, this is a real microphone.
There
here.
you go. So,
I feel like an announcer. Anyhow, the next item I need to ask you, again, the old hospital site. In a previous meeting, the board said they would like to put some deed restrictions on it, and our illustrious county attorney said you can do that. So if you have any deed restrictions tonight, or if you've got some in the future, would you submit them to either me or else Mr. Addison, and we'll make sure that when it comes time to sell that site, that we will add those to the deed itself, so that I guess some locally unwanted land use won't be allowed there.
okay.
Okay.
Do we have?
whose-
Go ahead.
Whose responsibility would that fall on legally as far as a deed restriction though? Like who would actually enforce that? And that
We
might
would
be
have to,
attorney
as
for
the,
it.
as the former owner, I would think it would be part of our responsibility. If I'm wrong, Mr. Forrest? Is that correct? Whose responsibility?
To be quite frank with you, that would be something I have experienced, that usually the neighborhood or someone that has a specific interest in it would notice that they can't do it. It also leads to the question of a permit and something that is being used, like what type of building that you're going to put up, the deed restrictions. I know that some of the building projects around here, they have deed restrictions such as a house has to be a certain size. They can only have so much vinyl, it has to be brick or some type of mortar. That's usually done in the permitting process, and deed restrictions on that. But I believe it's the permitting process that catches the initials on that.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think the government, Anson County, the permitting department, is not responsible for enforcing that restriction. That is up to the public to enforce that restriction. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, the government can place the restriction, or the seller can place the restriction, but I don't think the permitting department would look at the deed and say you can't do this. Is my interpretation of it.
I'll stand corrected if I'm wrong. However, I was under the understanding that they had to meet all the deed restrictions for permitting and things of that nature. But if not, I would guess it would be up to the public and for people to say you can't do a certain thing, which would be a homeowners association or neighbors or things of that nature.
That's right.
So how would
I thought they had to comply with that in the permit. So
No,
Yep.
if it,
only like entities.
Some entity that.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
it's the responsibility, generally it's the responsibility of those who impose the deed restrictions to make sure they're adhered to, or whoever the descendants of that restriction are. When it comes to permitting, we don't go into that. It's a private matter.
Well, who will enforce it?
As those who enact, if the county so chooses to enact deed restrictions, hypothetically, excuse me, let's say you said no low-cost dollar stores could be built on that property. It is then the responsibility of Anson County government who implemented those deed restrictions to ensure that they're enforced, and you would do so via legal action. Same as if Billy Bob had a deed restriction that says a house needs to be 2,000 square feet and sold it to Sally Sue. It's Billy Bob's responsibility to ensure that deed restriction is adhered to. And that's reaffirmed by several years of School of Government opinions.
So therefore, it falls back on us to make sure that that's adhered to.
That is correct.
In this situation, because we are the seller.
Yes, correct.
In layman's terms, if they decide to put whatever it is that the county said not to put, and they said they were going to it anyways, you would, in layman's terms, have to sue them or take them to court to restrict that, to have it upheld by a court.
That is my understanding from School of Government, unless our attorney can say otherwise.
So is that?
I think part of the restriction should be the type of businesses that can go there as well.
I will say in some cases in the county permitting process, occasionally we do catch a deed restriction, make the applicant aware of that, but it's not our responsibility to ensure that it's adhered to. I simply inform them that I've discovered a deed restriction, and then inform them that those who enacted it could pursue legal action, just in case they're unaware. I don't want to see them get sued for building an undersized house.
Yeah, so legally, you as a planning department or permitting cannot deny them a permit, even though you know the language is there that prohibits what they're building.
That's correct. We can only look at what our ordinance says.
Yeah.
So would we be better off not considering a deed restriction?
I'd like to say wouldn't be
I'm
worse off, but you would have to enforce that deed restriction. You understand what I mean? And then I'm obviously in court or whatever. You could put for.
So potentially we can make the money, but then have to turn around and use some of it.
If you lost, if you lost, yes.
Yeah.
That's kind of.
Yeah. So that's why I was saying.
I mean, I'm not against deed
Me
restrictions.
neither. I
You
just
lose-
wonder. Yeah.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, if you don't have one, then you don't have anything. If you do
Right.
have one, you have something to stand on.
Mhm.
There you go.
So,
Right. Well, you made a valid point. That's why I said, should we just consider selling it without a restriction, unless we are overly concerned about what may end up there? I don't know.
That's a discussion, I mean, the board, you know, 'cause I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never had to pursue a
Because I
deed
didn't,
restriction.
I
so
didn't
don't
know, I didn't know that process that
Mhm.
they could still do it, and then it would fall back on us to have to spend some money to sue or whatever. I just learned that tonight.
I think moving forward tonight, like the manager said, if anybody personally has any, they can send them and we can discuss it later.
Yep.
I mean,
I think that's, you know, put your thoughts down, send them to the manager, and then that's not for saying it's gonna happen, but we can then discuss what those deed restrictions look like.
That's good.
Okay. All right.
All right, Mr. Chairman, if I may proceed, the next item is the Anson County Water System letter. I received a certified letter from Miss Heidi Cox. She actually is a regional supervising engineer with the Public Water Supply System. And as you all know, we've talked multiple times about the need for a generator for the raw water intake structure. This letter gave me until next week to actually respond to her with a plan in terms of how we're going to replace it. And you know, in the meantime, we have received I can't say it's a grant, but it's an appropriation from the General Assembly for $400,000 that would go toward purchasing that. We'll have to add at least $100,000 to it. I have reached out to our engineers, and we thought maybe we could get a pump to drop in that box. Unfortunately, you can't just buy one off a shelf. I know, that's my reaction. I said, Joe, pump is a pump, but it's got to be large enough. And the one that's there is a centrifugal pump that's sort of kind of a specialty pump. So I have already authorized him to go ahead. I responded to Ms. Cox in the deadline, because otherwise we would have received a $25,000 fine, which I knew we did not want. That would make you all very unhappy as well as me. But I just needed to let you know that this is in the process. Next is
Can I
a
have
water emergency resolution.
Mr. Sullivan, I think there's a question on the.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Generator.
just for clarity on the generator, what was the acquiring of this generator? Was it out for bid or the process bidded?
We have to design it and go out for bid. You're absolutely correct.
Okay.
Because of the value, it's going to be probably somewhere in that $450,000 to $550,000 range.
Right.
Which does not make, I know you all happy or me either.
So the ball is rolling, but we have not purchased or put out for bid yet.
Right.
For this project.
That's right. And that's what I pointed out to her in my response.
Okay.
Because probably it will take, this is not going to make anybody happy either. It's going to take probably 18 months from the time the design is made, it's submitted to the state for their approval, and then we go out for bid, and then go toward the acquisition and construction portion.
So.
But at least the letter met her criteria. She thanked me for the update and what I have to do now. So I know somebody's going to remind me to make sure that every quarter, it's already on my calendar for sometime around the 1st of October, to submit a update to the plan.
Okay.
Nothing's easy.
Any other questions
No.
on the generator? All right.
Next, Mr. Chairman, in order to get the emergency repairs underway, and we had our attorney to look through the state statutes to make sure, because as you know, there are certain purchases that I can make that's authorized by you and authorized by general statutes. The repairs that were taking place out there, and we don't have the final bill yet for that 24-inch water line that ruptured on Highway 74. Those were over my spending limits, so I had to declare a state of emergency, or actually I didn't declare it. If you all approve it tonight, you need to vote to declare it and allow the chairman to sign it, not pro tunc, which is like now for then. Because if we hadn't started the process, we'd still be without water.
How much is that? What's the amount?
The original dollar figure was $535,000 and change.
Which was the original emergency while the contract crew was on site repairing the leak. They put a planned bypass in. When the bypass failed, that's what created the dire emergency, I'll call it.
Absolutely. And like I said, it was like clear and present danger. I mean, it wasn't just what we might suspicion that's going to happen, but it did happen.
Yes. I want to clarify, this is not declaring a state of emergency for the water break. This is declaring a water emergency that bypasses the bidding process to get a contractor on site to fix this repair immediately. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
All right, thank you. This is kind of whatever that Latin term you use, but this has already occurred, fixed, and done. We were scheduled to approve this last Tuesday night in the middle of that break, but we canceled the meeting. So this is just kind of a cleaning up after what we've already done.
Right.
Okay. So, just so the citizens know, this declaration right here was done because it was more than our utility crews could handle at the time. That's why Columbus Utilities was already on site fixing the repair. The repair was a band around the 24-inch pipe that feeds another water line. The water line was fixing to come apart, and you were going to have 24 inches of water just gushing out everywhere if we did not fix it immediately. That's why they put a planned bypass in around that leak to try and prevent the citizens from being without water. Unfortunately, the planned bypass failed, which is what constituted them fixing it at 2 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday morning. So again, this is just a procedure that we've already done this, we've already completed this. We just need to approve this declaration here.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion by Commissioner Woodburn, second by Commissioner Gatewood to approve the resolution declaring emergency for the ruptured 24-inch water line. Any other discussion on that? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
And we've already experienced a report on item E, which was the after-water incident report. So the next item is NCDOT right-of-way deed for 486 Anson High School Road. This is where the new middle school is located. They'd like to pay the county, after they had it appraised, $1,200 for about 1/10 of an acre of land that they need. And so our recommendation is to do it, to try to keep that project moving forward so the school can open up in, I guess, August of this year, next month.
So move. I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Ellaby, second by Commissioner Mims. Just want to clarify, this right-of-way is for, I believe, a turn lane on Anson High School Road?
Correct, sir.
Yeah, so it is part of the new school construction project, being able to accommodate more traffic on that road. So we have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion?
This will be, I want to make sure you know, this will be from one government entity to another government entity. So I don't want private business thinking we're selling land for that kind of price.
Yep.
So we can do that. We don't have to do it to the public like that. So, yes.
Is that the least we have to sell it for? What's the minimal amount?
Pardon?
What's the minimal amount? Or is that what they offered? Is that?
That's what they offered after they'd done
They
an
offered.
appraisal.
Okay.
Right, yeah, they had it appraised over the last 60 days. And like I say, it's like not an acre, it's like 1/10 of an acre.
So at least it's fair market value according to the appraiser.
Yep.
Correct, sir.
Motion still stands.
All right, so we still have a motion, we still have a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, motion passes.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman, unless there's something else the board would like to ask.
All right, at this time, is there any other questions for the manager? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to assistant manager.
Okay. Just wanted to give you a brief update. So on the July 7th agenda was this progress report for Henson and Hale, which we also had Project PIMA's previously titled. By the Rural Building Reuse Grant, we're required to submit an update signed by the chairman every January 1st and July 15th for any grant the county's received associated with that program. We have this one and another one in the county. I believe we still have the one open for the slaughterhouse open. So in your packets is a brief update on that for submission, just to give you a quick rundown. Since they've had their grant approved, which has only been a few months, they've completed some internal modifications, primarily some removing some structures, primarily the lighting. They're still proceeding with deep cleaning, installation of new lighting and IT infrastructure. At this time, they have not hired any full-time or part-time staff. They're using contract staff to perform these facility rehabilitations and maintenance items. And they are not requesting any payment pursuant to the grant at this time. Any questions on that progress update for Henson and Hale? This was the medical textile manufacturer on Anson Apparel Shirt Road. And then I would just need the chairman's signature on that progress report at some point, and I'll get it submitted. And I'd made the state aware of what was going on. They were okay with it being submitted late. They completely understood. And if the chairman and board would allow me to digress a little bit, I'll give you some other updates on some economic development activity in the county.
I was going to ask you, so I'm glad
Yes.
you're bringing it up.
Perfect. So prior to the utility incident, which tied us down for about 2 weeks, I was out of town. And so I'll commend Valerie. I believe she's still here. She completely handled an application from a company called Henry Precast, which is a precast concrete structure manufacturer. She completely handled that, even though it's outside of her job duty. So as always, I will commend her on that one. But it is a precast manufacturer. It'll be located on Highway 74 across from the DMV office. Its initial phase of construction will develop a 4,000 square foot office with about 20 full-time employees and a 12,000 square foot manufacturing facility that'll hire 30 to 40 full-time employees. Once they get fully operational and ready to expand, they'll be expanding with an additional 12,000 square foot manufacturing facility, which will also come with another 30 to 40 employees. They anticipate generally between 80 and 100 employees at full build out, which is phenomenal for our county. But that also comes with a $6.5 to $8 million investment. So I wanted to give you an update on that one. And I know there's been a lot of questions on Anson Stone out in Lysville. Approximately earlier this month, I believe it was, they have started advertising filling positions at that facility as well. So we are seeing progress. I want everybody to know Anson County is still open for business. And if you have a proposal, bring it to us. We'll hear it. And that is all for me, unless you have any questions.
No, sir. Thank you for. I had that on my report to go over, so I was going to ask you about that. That was a mechanism through our planning board last Thursday night when that was approved. So that is part of the countywide zoning that it was already zoned appropriately for industrial use. So that went through the planning board, never came to this board for approval because we've already dictated that area of land could be used for industry. So there again, it's just another stepping stone to creating economic investment into this county, and I look forward to many more announcements coming in the future. So, any other questions for our county managers? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to Chairman's report. I just have a couple items to go over. First is our North Carolina District 10 caucus meeting, and Mr. Woodburn was probably going to speak on it because I hope he's going to be in attendance since he is the director of it, of District 10. Correct me if I'm wrong, I do believe at this time, do we not have to nominate someone?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'll just go ahead and give my comments now. It's the District 10 caucus, which includes Anson, Montgomery, Moore, and Richmond counties. And the even number districts, which we are District 10, meets in even number years. That's why we're meeting. And it will be up to the counties to determine who the next district director will be. So that's basically the primary purpose of the meeting, and then there's also some other things that'll happen during that meeting, and it is on Zoom, as you got the information in the packet.
Okay. So the members who are in attendance appoint the director at that time. We do not need to take action here tonight to appoint a director, correct?
Not for District 10. The only thing we've got to be aware of is the upcoming annual conference in August. We'll have to select and appoint a voting delegate for that, but we don't have to do anything for this other than just be in attendance on Zoom for it.
Okay. So, all right. The other thing I have, it's in your packet. We were all received an email last week. Rocky River, I think it's Rocky River Baptist Church. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Rocky River Baptist Church is celebrating their 250th year in Anson County. So they have invited commissioners who would like to attend. They're having a service there at the church that morning and afternoon. So again, the invitation's in your agenda packet. One other thing I want to bring to your attention, I know there's probably some questions as to why we have a big rusty valve sitting here in front of the dais here. During the water crisis last week, we were made known prior that we were losing a lot of water, and that was referenced in a water loss report that we asked for and were given. I don't know if it was a month ago now, my weeks are running together, but we identified that we were losing, we could not account for 132 million gallons of water every month from our water department. While we had the engineers on site here during the water crisis, we took that time to go out and look into issues of why we were losing so much water. We came across this valve that you see right here in front of me. This is an 8-inch water valve that came off of the 12-inch water main off of 74 that broke last week. No, man. This is from 74 West, in front of Jim Hill Sand and Gravel. This is the valve that was at the proverbial water vault that we've seen videos. You all have seen the videos of it. Upon arriving, our engineers noticed the water that was leaking out of the vault, and we had some discussions on, yeah, that's a water leak, maybe not as severe as you first thought. Once we walked a little further, we seen the size of the pipe and the full gush of water that was coming out of the pipe, which was coming from that valve. That it was estimated that that's 1.5 million gallons of water every day that was going through that valve that was not cut off. We were instructed as this board a few weeks back at a meeting that that valve was cut off, and that's what caused the line to blow out on 74. I firmly believe that was not the truth. That valve, if it was cut off, I hope you in the audience can see there is a hole in it. There's actually 2 holes in that valve. So even if you cut it off, the water was still leaking out. We were losing 1.5 million gallons of water every day for unknown amount of days out of that one incident, one valve right there. It took one phone call, and a utility crew fixed that valve from leaking, and as of today, because I rode by it today, that leaking has stopped. There's no more water running out of that valve. So we have prevented the loss of 1.5 million gallons of water a day. To put that in relative terms, that's 45 million gallons of water a month. I just told you we were losing 132 million gallons a month as of last report. So that's a third of our water that we've already saved in one incident. I firmly believe there are other incidents in this county that are just like that, that once we can identify them, we can save the water that we are just unaccounting for that's pumping out on the ground. In dollar figures, because that's what I relate to, if I was leaking 1.5 million gallons of water at my house, that would cost $311,000 a month. That's what we're losing out of that water valve right there. $7 million a year that our utility department is losing because they would not fix the valve. That is unacceptable. I don't care. We call for accountability. I don't care who's responsible. We cannot continue to operate that kind of a system. We talk about we don't have any money. That's where our money's going right there. That's the proverbial drain that the money's going down right there. Stop it, and we make our own money. We save $7 million over 5 years. $300,000 a day we just saved by fixing the valve. Now, are there going to be other issues down the line? Absolutely. I know you can't just go cut a water spigot off and not expect pressure to build up somewhere else. while we had the engineers on site, we went and found where the pressure problems were. Unoperated pressure reducing valves that were not operational when the engineer stood there and looked at it. It was back operational within 10 minutes of an engineer sitting there looking at the valve, instructing our utility guys. They told them exactly how to adjust the pressure reducing valve to reduce the pressure so we would not lose water anymore. It's not, the problem here is not our system is old. We know we have an old system. There are antique cars every day running up and down the road. They've had maintenance, and they've had people that know how to operate them every day. We've got to get somebody that knows how to operate an antique system to run our water plant efficiently. So I don't know how to fix that. I am stressing to this board, we have to take action somehow to improve our water system, to improve the citizens' quality of water that's delivered to their homes. And they expect better, and I know it because I'm a citizen and I expect better too. So I just wanted to put that as show and tell, basically, to show you where $311,000 a day of your enterprise funds was going down the drain.
That had to be replaced.
That valve is brand new out on 74 right now.
How much did that cost us?
The engineer estimated that valve alone was probably around $2,500.
Did it take an engineer
That's
to
all.
find out what was going on?
It did not. It did not take an engineer to find out what was going on. We walked out there and looked at it. It took an engineer to tell us why we needed to cut it off, and once we did, how to prevent the leaks from happening later down the line.
Okay, in August of 2024, we you all voted 6-1 to get an engineer. Mr. Sossaman, has it been put on the website for an engineer?
Commissioner, we have been advertising since you approved it by that 6-1 vote, but we have not had a single engineer apply.
Could it
And
be?
I have discussed it with other with engineers that are working for private companies, and they say probably you need to raise your salary to anywhere from 150 to 160. Even some have said $200,000 a year.
But it has been advertised for over almost 2 years
Well,
for an engineer?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am, it has been.
And I want to go back over those numbers again, just so everybody's understanding what I'm saying. He just said the salary for an engineer is $150,000 to $175,000 a year.
Not two.
That was $311,000 a month. It's not rocket science here, folks.
Exactly.
So it pays for itself immediately.
But if we can't get nobody to come and be an engineer, how we gonna? I mean,
Raise the
that's what you
salary.
keep saying.
Raise the salary. Just like you just said, it paid for itself in 15 days.
I do have, if I may, Hazen and Sawyer, which is our contract engineering firm. They actually have operators, if you will, who are engineers or even not engineers, but have operated in major water and sewer systems. Some of them up north. When I say up north, Maryland, Baltimore, places like that have old systems, and so they are more attuned to doing the things. Because you just don't go in there and turn a valve. You have to know how many turns to do it, which direction to turn it in order to get the pressure set perfectly. I can't do it. I wish I could.
And one of our contracted engineers is not just an engineer; he actually has a background in water. So he's worked. I mean, I guess it's okay to say his name, but I know he has a background.
Right.
So that has been very useful and helpful, from what I understand, in this process too.
Absolutely. He has 40 years' experience running the large city's public water supply. He was flown in from Maryland to help assist us in restoring our water service. That's the caliber of people we had here working through this crisis, trying to restore the water.
And he was actually on site with you and several of our water crew over here on a Sunday afternoon recently, whenever we discovered all the problems that we had with that valve and that vault, because it's inside of a vault that one of our employees, I won't call his name, I don't want to embarrass him, actually helped. He was taking the instruction, and he's in the crowd tonight, bless his heart, to reset it, and he remembers now how to do it, I'm sure.
Now, do we have a way to, I guess, monitor the valves we have such as this throughout the county, or is it just a show up, eyes on, investigate? I mean, I'm just curious.
There's no way to monitor it. There are ways to monitor it. We do not currently have those ways to monitor it.
Yeah, right.
Half of our water, man, half of our water tanks in this county do not read at our water plant, when the water plant operator should be able to look at a computer screen as you've got in front of you and say how much water's in each water tank. It's non-operational. So during this water crisis, the engineers picked up the telephone and called every municipality and said, what is the level of your water tank, so I'll know how much I need to pump to you to fill it up, or how many hydrants can I open before you draw down your water system. That happened every day, on the hour, every hour.
Right. Well,
That's part of monitoring a water system.
Right. And I thought we had the SCADA computer system. Matter of fact, I went to the water filtration plant today, and I saw where they could look at each tank.
Did you ask him what the water level was in Burnsville?
They showed me the water levels.
How much water was in Burnsville?
there? He said it was like they measure it by feet or something to gauge it that way. I mean, I'm just asking because it appears that if we can solve, I mean, I asked how much it was. He said $2,500. So how many of the valves we have such as this, if we can start locating these valves, for instance, with the water that was out for, 3-4 days or even more, that's due to the fact that we can't shut water off, right? So at that water main break, you got to shut the plant down, and the plant is supplying all of the county, including the municipalities. So therefore, that's back to what my recommendation was earlier. Have a water sewer planning board to where we can find a way to give some more intense, immediate attention to a problem so minute, but is yielding a large amount of revenue and issues and all of that. That's the reason for my questions is, how do we know what valves to locate, where they are located? I would assume, some of the employees who've been around may know where some of these valves are. I'm just curious, if that saved us $311,000 a month, that one alone, how do we locate another issue like that?
We should have proactive directors in the department trying to limit the expenses we are spending. We should have directors who are trying to improve the system and not give me the answer that we just need more money to fix the problems. I created your money right there. I give you $300,000 a month right there. You didn't have to, it didn't take nothing out of our general fund. We got to get directors who look for problems like that, how to solve them. So this is board comment. Ma'am, I'm not going to listen to that now. I'm being polite. So thank you. So that is how we fix it. We've got to get the directors, and it's in use utilities, as Mr. Adams said. We've got directors of all departments. We need to be finding ways that we can become more self-sustaining. Find a way that we can operate within our means and provide the best service possible.
Right. My argument has always been that our water department is our free enterprise. Mm-hmm. And it is self-sustaining, and that is what can help build things as it pertains to revenue for our county. If we're losing that much money, I get it. But it also is some level of requirement to invest some. I think we appropriated like what, 100,000 for. I think it was 100,000 in the budget.
Yes, I believe you're correct.
Talking about for capital outlay.
For the water department, and I mean, again, 100,000. I guess it's a significant amount of money, but it's not much money when you consider the real issues we have.
Yeah.
There's $3 million we just invested in our utilities right there.
Hey, I'm not arguing that. I agree with you. My goal is to find another 300,000. So our engineers apparently were the ones that recognized it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And you know, this has been a problem for we don't know how long. You know what I mean? And that's what's scary about it. I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with you. Yeah.
And that's what I agree with you.
Ma'am, this is board comments. So I apologize, and this is a board meeting that we're following proper rules here. So we'll discuss that after the meeting if you would like to. Thank you. So, Mr. Larry?
I got sidetracked. Hold on.
It was getting ready to be good, Joe. I saw it.
You were talking about the maintenance and things like that, right? And that what you just said. I mean, talking about this, the minuteness, just like you said, this is minute. What scares me and worries me is the comment of during this emergency, hey, while they were here, we went out and checked these valves. It took an engineer by the story to say, oh, hey, this is a valve. This is a $2,500 valve. This is how you adjust it. This is how you open and close it. We can replace this and stop that water loss. The fact that it's been pouring and pouring and pouring, and just like you said, this so minute. Where is everyone else amongst whoever is in charge of Anson County water system? Shouldn't say whoever. The commissioners, the county manager, the director of the water resource. It goes back to that minute thing that you said, and that's what worries me. If this was minute and overlooked and costing money, maybe it is time for us to revisit our job descriptions and our pay classifications and our job titles and see if there is a need for an engineer or to paying more money for somebody that can go out and find these things. Because I promise you, just like you said, antique system, it can be an old system, but there can be old equipment. You can have a piece of equipment running in the ground within a year. If you don't change the oil in your car for 50,000 miles, you're not going to have a car next year, right? But if you change your car, if you run a piece of equipment and take care of it, you can run that for years and years and years. We need to look at.
And we've dropped. It seems like close to about $1.5 million just here in the last week and the upcoming what we have to do. We're looking at about $1.5 million. We just approved to, in Latin terms, go back and declare so we could pay for roughly $535,000. And then we have a generator we got to purchase. It's good that we got the $400,000, but we got to put roughly maybe another 150 or two. That's $1.5 million right there being invested in our water department, and about close to 600,000. Well, all of it is by force.
Good thing we found 300,000 a month right there.
Right. Well, I mean, that's why I say I wholeheartedly agree with you, because if 1.5 million caught us off guard with no intent to invest that amount of money in this short period of time, and yet we saying we can recover almost half of it in a month's time. I mean, what is the necessary steps we can take as a county to locate more potential issues like this? That because I mean, we found this. Thank God. Right? Thank God for that. But 850 miles of lines, you know, I don't want to look at the negative aspect of it. I want to know what would be our next steps to try and locate another one of these problems, right? We found one. Thank God we did. Do we have another one?
I guess that's my
You
question.
know what I'm saying?
We do.
Right.
And
how
how
do
that
we-
question right now.
Yes, sir.
I found out that the water tank down on White Store Road, almost at the South Carolina line, does not have water in it. Is that correct, sir?
Wow.
That's where I was getting at with the SCADA and the
Because
vertical water tank.
they did the altitude valve at the top that controls the amount of water that's called for and fills that tank up didn't work.
Okay.
Well, I had a crew was already dispatched down there to do some maintenance, not that kind of maintenance, but something else. And I had that crew member call me back and say, "Lynn, guess what?" I didn't have to say guess what. He said, "Not only is that altitude valve not working, the exit valve, which is at the bottom, was tied open with a bungee cord." Tied open with a bungee cord. Now that's not supposed. I know that's. So I found that on my own, and I went ahead and gave directions and called the company. It's out in New York, and they went ahead and ordered the altitude valve and the exit valve. So that's going to be replaced so we can put water back in that tank. But first, we're going to have to decontaminate it because after all, this
It's been
is the
dry.
South. It's been dry, but it's also damp.
How much
there's-
did that cost us?
Well, those valves are less than $10,000.
Less than $10,000.
Less than $10,000.
Together.
Yes, combined, total. And so there's other ones like that.
So therefore, water was not filling that tank in that area.
That is
altogether.
true. That is true. And going back before Mr. Cottle became chairman, someone else who was from the Burnsville area that Mr. Leary knows.
Let's talk about Burnsville.
By Mr. Bricken, he actually complained to me multiple times about there not being water in that tank as well as in the Burnsville tank. And the telemetry between those tanks, which is the way SCADA operates, doesn't work.
That's why they do not know how much water is in the Burnsville tank on the SCADA system.
Right. So, but this information has been available that there was no water in those tanks. If we're talking Commissioner Bricken, we're talking some years. I've been on the board almost 2 years. So therefore, we have the knowledge there that something's not working between the water filtration plant and Burnsville. And here we are 2 years later still talking about there's no water in it.
Well, I'm told there is.
I mean, I'm not. I don't want to sound. Listen, and I mean, I'm not doing this with y'all. I'm just saying, here again. You know, and I'm glad to hear citizens laughing because, you know, these people have been without water, and during that time frame, I'm sure it wasn't much joy in sight. However, with this knowledge is all I'm saying. That's 2 years of knowing, and yet we've done nothing about it. To my knowledge, I mean, if we have, we can mention it. Again, I'm glad to see this, but what will be our plan of action to ensure that the White Store Road water tank can be filled? In fact, if their water tank can be filled, they're not without water until that tank run out.
Well, I've actually, like I said, I went ahead.
In Burnsville.
I've put that in motion. It's happening now. As soon as we can get the valves, then the company can put that in place.
So-
But it has to be done. You know, they.
And that's my point. So we've lost money, but there's also been some level of, and this is on accountability aspect that we speak of, because there has to be some accountability, not just from the ones that has the oversight of locating and doing the work. There has to be some accountability from people such as myself, who has a voice in the budget knowing these things are going to cost. We just named $1.5 million. $1.5 million. And it's by the grace of God that we had 400,000 of it pretty much already appropriated to us for our water department. Because, you know, that helped a lot. But I mean, to say we don't still have problems would not be transparent. And with those problems, my interest is not necessarily in who's been at fault the last 20 years, 30 years, or 40 years. I've only been here 2 years, and I'm guaranteed 2 more if the good Lord allow me to wake up the next 2 years. And in those 2 years, I want us to come to a place where we can come up with a plan and locate these issues. Because if we don't do it, I mean, the state has proven to us they're limiting what they can give us. I mean, if we want it, we're going to have to find a way to foot the bill, and we're going to have to find a way to hold people accountable, who's responsible for it. I'm not negating any of it. I just want us to consider what is the next step. Like, how do we keep locating $300,000 or $50,000 a month or $25,000 a month? Because if we can continue to do that, we have enough to put back into our water department. That's why I agree with you. We can put that back in our water department. So if we're saving $300,000 now, that gives us $300,000 to consider, putting somewhere else and correcting more of these problems.
I've been told that was been leaking for 5 years.
Right.
$18 million that would have been invested. We can't spend it anywhere else but utilities.
I agree.
So-
You're spot on with that.
And I don't know that for a fact. I've been told that because I ain't been here for 5 years, obviously. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, that that's the kind of problems we have discovered within our system. And I know there's more. I guarantee there's more. Yeah. We got to locate them and fix them.
I didn't even notice they were there. You pointed that out. I didn't even know. But that's a good point to make. I mean, that's what we're dealing with. That's a reality.
That's what your water system looks like right there in front of you. Okay, that concludes my chairman's report. So I'll open it up for any other commissioner concerned.
Well, I have a citizen, employee that came to me about the four-wheeler for the lagoon, about still getting down there. Have we got anywhere with it?
Did we approve it? I don't remember.
There's an easement issue with the adjoining property.
Four-wheeler issues, easement
Yeah,
issues.
I don't know where we are with the easement access to the lagoon.
I had a conversation about that lagoon. Oh, I'm sorry. Go right ahead.
If you'll speak into the mic, please. Thank you, sir.
To the exact same spot we've been in, they offered a price. We did not take it. We did not accept that price, and so we don't have the easement.
Okay.
Could I maybe suggest something?
Sure.
For our county manager and assistant county manager, if maybe they could have a conversation with the potential owners and just see, if you all could work something out where they would ensure us to get in. I think that would be great. If just some kind of conversation, and maybe a month from now, 2 meetings in between. After reaching out to them, just kind of see where you were with it, because I know that's an intricate part of our water operation. They have to take samples now. Is it weekly, or
I've actually met with the owners of that right of way, along with our county attorney, and he said they've made us an offer, but we haven't accepted it yet.
We've also met with adjoining property owners trying to pursue other avenues for easement access, and they were willing to grant us easement access. I know there's some things in the works trying to acquire that, but I'm not sure where that negotiation process is at, to be honest. That's been a few months back.
Can we kind of get an update on it?
I'm going to ask the manager if he'll give us an update on that easement access via the original landowner or adjoining landowners at our next meeting.
We could do that.
Great.
I'll get Mr. Forrest to work with me and our assistant county manager, and we'll recontact them and see if they have changed their minds about wanting what I consider to be way too much.
Yeah.
Did we ever agree to a four-wheeler?
No, sir.
We did.
But because once easement access is secured, a vehicle can access it.
Right. I went down there today.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this. That is very treacherous for us to expect county employees doing their job that is mandated by the state of North Carolina that they do, not to have access to actually get samples that's required. Like, I mean,
Can we move the access point somewhere else?
That was looked at. The manager will have to give you the details. That was looked at. We own physical access to it,
Right.
but it's not in the shape to access it at this point. Is that correct?
That's right. It would have to be probably cleared, grubbed, and we have to be careful because we can only get so close to the toe of the dam at the lagoon, because if we get too close and try to remove some of the roots and other organic structures, it will compromise it, and that would make the EQ very unhappy.
Yeah.
it looks like that's about the most feasible way in.
If I may, Anson Contractors has been very accommodating. I have not heard that they have not been accommodating. I understand it is aggravating for the employees to have to get permission sometimes to go in there, but I don't think they've ever denied us access or reasonable access to it when we have something scheduled especially.
Okay.
Well, if the gate is locked when they got to go down there on their schedule, that's pretty inconvenient. I mean, the fact that the county has to schedule going getting samples is that's a great inconvenience.
Inconvenient. It's just they have not denied us, but you're right.
Well, if the gate's locked, that's a denial. You got to walk.
Yeah.
I mean, you're denied access when a gate is locked.
Yep.
I mean, there's no way around that.
Absolutely.
If the gate is not unlocked, because the lagoon is created to drive into, no one has a key to the lagoon but county employees. Once they open that gate, you can drive. I took my truck around the whole lagoon today, and it's unlocked because the state probably been in and out with all of this going on. And so I think we need to be granted that access in some kind of way.
And I think the issue was the locks were not locked back correctly. We locked the landowner out of their own property, is what I was told, which is why they removed our lock and put their lock back in place, because they're going to get to their property.
Oh, yes, sir.
I
agree.
So I think it's a problem of interlocking the locks was
Yeah.
the issue.
Yeah.
That sounds as simple as they putting their lock on and giving us a key.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
So,
And get them the key if need to be. I mean,
vice versa, yeah.
yeah, it don't matter. Or combination lock.
If our managers will report back to us in 2 weeks on that topic.
And I'll just add, as far as water's concerned, I think I've mentioned this before, is I think our entire system needs to be reviewed, and whatever issues we have identified, so that they can be prioritized, and we develop a plan going forward to get all this stuff fixed. I know it won't be fixed in a year or two, but at least if we know what needs to be done, we can start working on it. Right now, we're just like shooting in the dark. Something happens and we go fix it. Whereas, if you know ahead of time, this is the next thing that may cause us a major problem, and we can get it fixed in advance. And I still believe that's what we need to get put together. And I know you mentioned the capital improvement plan. Maybe that needs to be reviewed and updated.
That has been reviewed and updated, and matter of fact, I discussed it with our engineers while they were here, and they said it's probably one of the first things that you need to do is to replace the raw water intake structure.
Mhm.
And the price, if I remember it correctly, is $25 million.
Okay, well, so we got something that needs to be done. We got a price, so we need to figure out how to work in that direction.
Yes, sir. And I have requested multiple times from our General Assembly grants or state appropriations that would not have to be paid back because it would not be a loan. And so far, and I'll go back even further than that. I've been here almost 4 years, and one of my first meetings in Raleigh, Mr. Forbes was with me, and I met with DEQ And that director of DEQ is also now the director of the state water intake structure. And I've requested from them, they said, Lynn, if you will go regional and supply others, I said, we're already kind of regional. We supply all the towns in Anson County. Well, how about outside of Anson County? Well, we supply Marshville. We also have a line under the PD River over to Richmond County.
Right.
And if you had White Store Road operating again with a water tank, we could connect into Chesterfield County, South Carolina. And they said, if you'll do that, we'll give you the money. Well, they gave us $6 million for the filtration plant upgrade, and they gave us $4 for the pump station upgrade. To me, that really isn't helping us that much. It's a lot of money. I mean, it's a lot of money to me. I'd like to have $10 million personally. I'm sure everybody in this room would. But when it comes to a replacement of a system that's going to cost $1 billion, I'm not talking $1 million, I'm talking about $1 billion. And I can name off a number of projects that are anywhere from $25 to $50 million each. And it adds up quickly.
I understand. And as far as Chesterfield County is concerned, there should be a line already there because we supplied them with water until they decide.
We have two connections, I believe, with
It's close. It's like, I think we could tie in somewhere at,
if we supply
corrected here
Chesterfield
by
County
these guys,
with
I know, because they know it better than I do. But we could connect into, I think, the town of Chesterfield without too much difficulty.
Yeah, we supplied them for several years, and then they decided to get their own system in place, so they kind of cut us off. The other thing I was going to mention too, you're talking about hiring an engineer. One option may be to look for a contract engineer. Somebody's not necessarily a county employee, but you can work and get a contract in place that they will come whenever needed. Maybe something be put in place, they will be here as much as that they're needed to do the job of an engineer.
I'm glad you said that, because I'm going to bring you a proposal, hopefully at the August meeting, for a contract engineer who is I call him a world-class operator, because he's operated multiple large systems up north. And I'm familiar with some of those systems up there because I spent a year as a city manager in New Jersey before coming here. So there are old systems. Matter of fact, the one that's being upgraded now in Concord, which is like 15 miles from here, drive up to Concord, go to Palisades Drive, and look up the Hillgrove Water Treatment Plant. This one here came online in 1968. That one up there came online in 1950. And it's still operating and doesn't have anywhere near the problems this one does. It's lack of maintenance, lack of management. I'm just telling it like it is.
All right.
Any other commissioner concerns?
I heard, I do, I have one.
Okay.
And I know on the typical operations, it's really not a problem for us. But I gave this some thought after hearing some of the things. I got text messages. Somebody even lied and said I was down there. And I guess I'm a thug preacher or whatever, running people off. I love everybody. However, I think we do have a crisis that is going to fall in our laps. And I kind of forewarned all of this early on back in April. And it's becoming a bigger problem than what normally happens in any county. And I'm not sure if we take responsibility of a Board of Elections being closed. I like for us to wonder what the plan of action is going to be to maintain that building open, because will we be fined or we're going to?
Contacted the state, it is their responsibility.
Okay, so, well, good.
Yes, I actually talked to Brian Levesque, who's the Deputy General Counsel for the State Board of Elections, and also his boss, who is, I'll pronounce his name wrong, Tim Hogemeyer. And they called me. I didn't call them because but they were surprised that I already knew about it. And I said, well, I've been over there. I know. Yep. And they were surprised, but they actually said that we're not to go in that building or else we're violating Homeland Security.
Well, wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. I think it would be good for the citizen here, and I'm glad to know this time it's actually people from the State Board of Elections, and not somebody that's just some state affiliate.
Well, I'm with you 100%, because I know it's been difficult, and I have actually asked those two gentlemen if they could reach out and get someone from a state employee base and bring them here that are knowledgeable and can operate that office until they can put a director in there.
Yeah, we need them ASAP. We need them ASAP, and that's for every candidate. It doesn't matter what their political affiliation is. It doesn't matter about anything. They should have access to resources for these upcoming elections. I know it can get a little nasty when people think politics, but no matter what side you're on, you should have access to the resources to run you an accurate campaign. And that's not fair to any of the citizens here that's seeking office in our county. So I would hope that they would send somebody soon as in the morning.
And it would be great if you all could make some kind of statement on Facebook, in the newspaper, or something to that effect. What this is for.
Yes, I would love to see it happen. I would love to see it happen.
The public needs to know. Where the lady at from the lobby?
Well, here's my take on it, and I see it in a concern. The only reason it's a concern of mine is, again, I look at the fairness for every candidate. It's not certain ones, every candidate, and I think that's appropriate for them to have access to those resources, and I think that is necessary and needed. And the state, they lawyered up early on this year, so maybe they can take action quick enough. They got a lawyer that they didn't really need for us, so hopefully they can see the need that we have to have somebody over there directing our Board of Elections. That's very important.
And the next time they interview for a director, they don't do it in somebody's house.
All right, any other commissioner concerns or comments tonight?
Yeah, I got one.
Yes, sir.
I got a comment or question, more of Attorney Forbes' question. Attorney Forbes, now I've talked about public addresses to the board for several times now, and I circle back to it again. If we're going to follow what we talk about as far as what we say here, 3 minutes, 2 minutes given to somebody else for a total of 5 minutes, everything I read here is expected to follow proper decorum, not use profanity, nor defamatory speech. What can citizens, as you informed a couple of citizens, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, what are they not allowed to speak of as far as, is it, because I feel that I don't want to invade anybody's freedom of speech on this.
That's right.
So,
my interpretation of case law, and I have reached out to the School of Government to do some things and all, because there's a federal case law from 2008 that had a citizen removed because they were criticizing one of the employees of a local municipality. So that gave them the right to do it. That's not what we're looking to do. There's a fine line between criticizing an employee and, well, I just pulled it up. Hold on a second. Criticizing an employee and under like a personal attack against that employee versus a public comment, such as I'm not an employee, so they can say about what they want to about me. You know? I knew that was going to get it, but I just want to let you know. So, I'm not an employee, and I'll comment on what happened tonight. And the last thing I want to do is stop somebody's public comment. I don't want them talking about an employee. If somebody wants to say, I didn't like someone putting this on Facebook and saying what they put on Facebook, that's different than this person ought to be fired. They shouldn't have done this. They shouldn't have done that. And I'm anticipating the best I can to protect the board and the county from any type of public lawsuits and all. And if anybody wants to check me, the case that I'll research this afternoon is Steinberg versus Chesterfield County Planning Commission, and it's the 555 U.S. Supreme Court 1046, and it's from 2008. I also read a lot of articles. The biggest thing is you have to maintain decorum in these meetings, and further, you need constructive criticism. Certainly is welcome. Disruptive criticism or an attack on an employee, that's something that's not right. As a matter of fact, it goes so far as to, there's other statutes here that forbid any type of public attack against personnel or even the release of any information. It's, if y'all were to release information about a personnel matter as a commissioner, I believe it's a class 2 misdemeanor.
But I think that's more or less on us as elected officials and make up this board. But the general public has a right to speak on.
If
I mean,
you are,
yeah.
That is so.
it's my interpretation that they could hold you responsible for providing a venue without allowing that.
Well, I needed somebody to intervene for me a while back, and I'm sitting up here and elected. I needed somebody to intervene for me a while back, and I'm sitting here elected, and I had to take it. And it wasn't all true. But, hey, I'm here. And I think the general public has a right to make complaints about employees that actually work for them. If you work for Anson County, you work for Anson County citizens. And
If you do not want me to intervene,
Yeah.
I work for y'all.
Well,
I'll be
we're
glad
not saying.
to intervene.
I'm saying I would never say
I was
anything
trying to
about an
protect
employee.
everybody and do what's right and protect our employees and things of that nature. I mean,
I think the main thing.
you have to have some type of protection.
That's correct.
Right.
Can't cuss somebody out.
Right,
Talk
right.
all kind of trash or something like that.
Yeah.
You can make constructive statements, and hopefully they're factual, but like I said, the main thing is just being respectful about it.
But I think it goes back to what Commissioner Leary also said, that I don't think we put in place or done, which was a great recommendation. And that is, maybe we put some kind of policy out about employees and what they can say and do as employees.
We need to develop a social media policy.
I mean, he mentioned that a while back.
I know.
And I think we might need to take action on that, and therefore.
I can provide examples of those from other places.
No,
Also,
no, ma'am.
also, I'd like to also make some distinctions tonight. Some people got to go farther because they were not talking about county employees. They were talking about people that work for the Board of Elections or people who are part of the Board of Elections. So they got to mention names, and they got to go a little farther than that, because that's not really our purview on that.
Right.
So I want to make that distinction. I don't think a lot of people understood that part. So.
Okay.
Secondly,
That answer your question?
to an extent, we can research it more. The other part is, as far as I feel like we pick and choose who gets 3 minutes, who gets stopped at 3 minutes, who doesn't get stopped at 3 minutes, who gets 5 minutes, and if we're gonna do it, I mean, I understand y'all have a lot to say, but we need to be fair across the board, and also, with all due respect, we need to be fair across the board. Who do we give attention to in the audience as they speak, and who we don't give attention to. I think we just need to keep proper decorum in this whole boardroom, including outbursts from audience members, like what is going on right now. I feel, with all due respect, all 7 of us are trying to have a respectable meeting in here.
I have a quick question. When did we change giving your time to 2 minutes? If you have 3 minutes, when did we change that as a board?
It's been in here ever since we've been on the board, man. It's right here.
Oh, no, I mean, I've always thought when you had 3 minutes, you could give your allotted time.
A speaker representing a group of individuals may be allowed 5 minutes for their presentation.
I know what it says now, but when did it change to that?
It's been like that.
Is it? Okay.
Been that way as long as I've been here.
Okay.
So,
I thought you had 3
I
minutes.
think
You
you
could
can
give
give
3.
what, 2 times?
I thought that was changed. I know when I was coming up here preaching the gospel before I became a commissioner, when somebody gave me 3 minutes, I got all 3 of them.
so. All right. Any other commissioner concerns tonight? Okay. Hearing none, we do have one item we need to discuss in closed session in reference to personnel matters. So this time I'll entertain a motion to enter into closed session.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Mims, second by Commissioner Ellaby. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you.
Can we?
Attorney Ford, you gonna see if anybody's out.
Please see if anybody's in the hall. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
to be respectful. Yeah.
We're good? Okay,
Make a motion that we come out of closed session.
all right, we have a motion by Commissioner Gatewood to come back out of closed session. We have a second by Commissioner Little Reed. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We are now back in public session.
Mr. Chairman, I do have one item for open session, and that is, why is the Board of Elections office closed?
All right, I'm going to defer that to our manager or our attorney, someone who has more knowledge of the situation than I do.
What I have heard is that the director has, I don't know if they resigned or if they have just, if they closed up and left. I have spoken with Ms. Kelly Cox, who called me today. I am not sure if it's a final resignation, but we have contacted the state to see what they are going to do. They are well aware of it, and I expect them to take care of sending some people down here who can open the thing, because it's their rules.
I just want to clarify that as a Board of Commissioners, we have zero authority over opening that facility to the citizens, correct?
It's my understanding that the state has informed us that if we enter the building, it will be a violation of that Homeland Security will get involved in, is what I understand.
So what happened that prompted the closing of the building, the Board of Elections building?
I don't know, we know. I don't.
Well, I'm asking those in.
I was not involved. I know what I've heard, but I don't know what was said.
I received a call from Commissioner Mims telling me to come over to the Board of Elections because there was a problem. When I got there, the director was in the process of leaving. She said she had some individuals that came in. She felt uncomfortable. She didn't say it to me. I'm getting this secondhand. And she left. I have not received, of course, I don't expect I would receive a letter of resignation since she doesn't work for the county. She works for the Board of Elections. And I've, as Mr. Forbes said, I've had multiple calls from the chairman of the Board of Elections, and she's highly upset. I have not had a call from the director, or whether she's, and like I said, I'm not sure whether she's still with us or not. She locked the building, and like I said earlier, I talked to the two attorneys that represent the State Board of Elections, and they've advised that we should not enter the building, period. So it is now locked up. And I'll be blunt. I asked them when they told us this before. I said, "What happens if the building catches on fire? Do we stand here and watch it burn?" They said, "Yes." I said, "I don't like that." "Why not?" I said, "Because it's our building, not yours." True statements.
So we don't know when somebody's going to come in and start assisting the candidates with information they need.
That is a fact, ma'am. Yes, and like I said, I asked both Mr. Hogemeyer and also Mr. Levesque if they could get us somebody here to open the building, even on a temporary basis, because we don't have anybody. It was my understanding they were in the process of I think they had 2 candidates that they wanted to interview, but they have not interviewed them yet.
And I think from my
That's for the deputy director position, correct?
That is for the deputy position, yes.
And I think from my understanding, all of that liability will fall on the actual Board of Elections, correct? I think from what I was.
Yeah, they have some liability, but I'm not exactly sure what it is.
Yeah, I mean for keeping it open,
Right.
and
Yeah,
especially during election season.
Right.
So,
They are supposed to keep it open, so that's why I asked the 2 attorneys I talked to from the Board of Elections today to see if they could get somebody as quick as possible, because we're in election year, obviously, and people are coming to go out of that office.
So is the county allowed to put a notice on the door, the building is closed indefinitely, or we just leave it blank?
Mike can get Mr. Addison to see if he can create one that maybe. We'd have to tape it to the outside of the door because we can't enter the premises.
Well, on the outside of the door, so long as it's readable.
Yes.
I guess you probably could check that in the morning because she may come back in the morning.
I think that is something we should confer with the local Board of Elections and encourage them to post it.
I was
That's been very difficult to get them to do anything. It's like it's a one-way street, their way or the highway.
I suggest this is just my suggestion, it's our building, but we're not in charge of the operations. I'd suggest not even asking the assistant county manager or any staff from the county to put any kind of notification of any kind. I rode by today once I heard the situation just to see if it was closed. It was a closed sign, but no message of any kind. I would just suggest for us to stay clear of it and not to assume any kind of responsibility at this point, because that's a matter. It appears that the local board of elections need to communicate to the state board of elections, and unfortunately, though, I'm glad I'm not running the campaign right now. But
And I think if the local board of elections gives us as a county notice that the office is going to be closed, then by all means we can push that out to our citizens. But I personally don't know that it's our responsibility to push it out, because that's their decision, not ours.
Or to post it, yeah. I agree.
Mr. Forbes and I can try to contact the chairman, Ms. Newton, or Ms. Cox, as he says it.
I'd suggest y'all not even reach out to them. It's their problem. I mean, I just wouldn't want us to
Becomes
get
our problem.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
but I agree.
It becomes my problem in November.
Well, no, you don't have
Yours
it.
too.
Nobody's running against
And
you.
yours too.
So, Commissioner Gatewood,
Well, still, he's
to my point
gotta get the ballot out.
of putting a
If he ain't got
sign,
information
like you
out there,
said, putting a sign up saying the building's closed or something like that. Say you did put a sign up there. Oh, the Board of Elections will be closed today. Local Board of Elections or somebody from the state or the director comes in, opens the building. Now, we, as the county government, have said, oh, the building's closed. The Board of Elections comes back and says, we had no intentions of closing it. We're open today.
Right.
The local Board of Government, the Board of Commissioners are trying to inflict harm to the Board of Elections. So as much as I agree with you, I also say we stay clear of it.
Yeah.
And just
Make it so it don't even appear that we communicated it at all.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think if we're given notice by the local board that the office will be closed for whatever amount of time, we can relay that information, but we should not tell them what they're going to do with their facility, is the way I view it.
Yeah, I agree with all of what you said, and I may get a call from the two attorneys tomorrow, one or the other.
And if the state,
I'll be surprised if not.
if the state board comes in and says that they're going to close it, then that's proof enough for me that we can put that out to our citizens, that our local board our local elections office is closed, and give the reference from the state that give us that information. I just don't think we as a board need to be making a decision on that facility being open or closed. That's fully out of our control and in the hands of the local board of elections.
I agree.
Okay.
Because they have to certify whoever's going to be there. So.
That's correct. My name's not going to be on it.
So
That answer
every
your question? Or?
Oh, sure, I'm fine.
Okay.
That's okay.
so every day that she's not there, she's not getting paid, or she's getting paid, or what? Because we're responsible for the pay.
She's not getting paid.
That's a heck of a good question, because I'm not sure how that's addressed in our personnel policy. I got the impression from someone when we were over there talking, maybe Commissioner Mims did too, is that she left with her key, her building keys, because she locked it up. So that may mean she's coming back, but I can't attest to that.
I would sure hope that means she's still employed.
So when she left the day, is she getting paid for the hours that she left?
In my opinion, like I said, I'm not sure how our personnel ordinance will address it, but in my opinion, she should.
No, because when we leave, we don't get paid.
Accrued. I don't think she has any time accrued. It will be just like someone, and she's still, well.
She's been here for a month. She should have.
She been how long?
She's been here for a month.
Is there any formal resignation or just a verbal, or just left?
I have not seen any. That's why I had to
Neither.
defer, because I don't know.
I was just going to wonder.
I've not seen anything. So,
Oh.
there again, it's in their full control, and I know what you're saying. We pay them, but I think that will be handled come payday, I believe.
Well, I'm just checking to see.
Yeah,
I think the main issue is the keys can't just be given to anybody.
that's correct.
So I heard that was part of the reason why the individual left with it, because can't just give it to, I think it has to give it to Mr. Smalls, the facilities guy, I think. Because board members for the local board can't have a key to the facility.
It's my understanding that we can't. Matter of fact, so our IT guys, normally when something like that comes online, they are notified, and then they have they could use their phone to gain access, but they're gonna have to wipe that clean. I mean, I was advised of that we were in violation, like Commissioner Caldwell said, we're in violation of some kind of Homeland Security rule and reg. And so I don't think any of us want to have whoever those guys are to come get us.
And I talked to the same guy today about security, and he told me the same thing, that the IT department cannot have access to that secured section that they secured for the Board of Elections. That only the director and assistant director can have access to that back room.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to share this.
Yes, sir.
Received a call this morning from Kelly Newton.
Get the mic.
Were you speaking to the
Yeah,
microphone?
certainly. I'm sorry, I got hearing aids, and I think I'm hearing better a little bit anyway. All right, got a call from Kelly Newton. She's the Board of Elections chair. She was complaining that she accused the county of putting secret cameras in the building and things of that nature. I assured her there was no secret cameras. We were asked to put those cameras in there, so we put cameras in there. I spoke with the IT people, and they said they set it up the way they set every other building up, and it was at the request of them having security over there. Kelly did not like the fact that it appears we have the ability to monitor those cameras. She demanded that we take them out, said it was, told me it was a violation of Homeland Security, and she was going to do something. I said, okay, look, I'll go talk to IT. We'll see about getting it done. That's it. Within less than an hour, she calls back, hey, I need you to make sure that your IT does not destroy that footage. We just had a problem over there, and we need to make sure that y'all can tell us what happened, and y'all can give us the security. I said, I told her we'd already destroyed everything, to get in compliance with Homeland Security. She didn't like that. I let her suffer for about 30 seconds just to prove a point that she needs to make her mind up. Do they want us or do they not want us over there? So I just want to let y'all know that was me. I did that. I know Kelly. I've known her for decades. I just want to make a point that the county's not doing anything against her. The county's not doing anything to meddle over there. The county was put in security because they needed security, and it was of no intention or anything like that for us to do anything nefarious or against them. I just want to let you know that's what happened. I think she was fine now because now we secured that security footage of what she claims was over there. And so I think it'll be ready for distribution tomorrow to them. So just want to make sure you know that's what happened today with that.
Okay. Any other questions on elections or?
Well, I have questions, but I probably shouldn't ask them, so I'll just leave it alone.
All right.
But I would like to know what happened to make an employee that we're funding just leave the office.
I cannot answer that because I was not.
I can, but I can't. Because we was over there, we got called over there. So it's still an ongoing investigation on our end.
So pending ongoing investigation with law enforcement is why we can't disclose publicly what the situation was there.
And I respect that, and I will not ask any more questions about, I want to say the damn Board of Elections, but the Board of Elections. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, sir.
This is all new to me, so I'll be honest, this is the first I've heard about it today.
I understand. I've heard bits and pieces. So, any other business to conduct tonight?
I make a motion,
None?
we adjourn.
There. Oh, time out.
Microphone.
Ryan Ellerby sent me a text and said he has some kind of alert that there was some man here in close proximity to this building, the government center, with a gun.
Yeah, I think
Mr. Right now?
That was previous.
That
going
was,
out
earlier. That was that screaming you heard over here.
Also,
I wasn't.
I know I'm gonna walk out with Commissioner Mills tonight.
Our wonderful law enforcement has already taken care of the situation. So, all right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at this time.
So moved.
Second. Have a motion by Commissioner Little Reed, second by Commissioner Woodburn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.